then we know.
What's up, guys?
Know. And knowing is half the battle.
All right, welcome everybody to the Do It With Dan DanCast. This is episode 2, featuring Mike the Cop, Officer401, and my buddy ASpinWithFin. You guys know him. Today's just going to be a casual cops versus bikers. We already got a couple drinks in us, and we will have the chat open so we can read it if you guys want to do super chat and ask some questions. But more or less, it's just going to be us talking. So to start off the chat,
it's a fun little Saturday here.
Finn hates cops.
Well, let's clear that up. I've just never hung out with cops that aren't getting me in trouble.
He actually tried to tackle me from behind when he came into the room.
That was more of a gay thing.
Yeah, Finn, he's like, I've never really hung out with cops, but I've never had bad experiences with cops either. So he's like, naturally, like every white suburban guy, he's like, fuck the police, right? That's how that works.
I think you just gotta
grew up suburban hood. I don't know what you were whispering to me. You're like, you said something about
oh yeah
being a dick, and I was like, so when you introduced yourself, and I was like, hey, what's up? Like I was like trying to kind of play it off.
I
of
totally
being a little,
got that vibe
little
so
dick.
hard. I was like,
yeah.
damn.
I was like, I'm gonna keep this up until like he says something. He kind of like said something like 5 minutes later because I was gonna do that like for the rest of the day until like
so
I would have
you
done
did.
it to the very last minute, and they'd be like,
man.
hey man, I just been messing with you.
Well,
the whole
you
time.
acted too good. It was so subtle how much of a dick you were being.
I was
you're
like,
like,
damn,
what's
dude,
up?
this guy is an asshole. I was coming in here excited,
Yeah, you're
we're
too
gonna
busy
we'll be
masturbating in the shower or
friends.
whatever you were doing. But he was all like, he's like, sup?
I was ready to shake your hand and stuff.
I take 30-minute showers every
Looked
day.
at me.
At first, I didn't realize that you had heard me. I was like, oh, he must not have heard me. He's not gonna be a dick. And he's like, sup? I was like, oh fuck.
Well, I did hear you, but I was like, what? What did you say? Because you whispered it to me, and then I was like, you said it again, and I was like, you're like, just be a dick. I'm like, okay. And I had no time limit, so I was just gonna be like, it could be 2 years later, and I just wouldn't have been nice to you because Dan said to be a dick.
Man.
I never.
Why is that guy such an asshole? Nah, he's
Fuck
not.
this guy.
I got that so hard when I was like, damn, man, I was ready to shake your hand. We're going to be best buds. And I was just like, well, that sucks.
No. We're good.
Well, Officer401 and I. Oh, we do. Oh, all right. Let's see. We do have a super chat. We'll go and answer that now. Dan, I'm sitting in as tall as everyone else. Is he just a pile of books or something? All right. Fuck you.
That's LeBacon. He's one of my mods.
Yeah. LeBacon. We talked to him last night.
Yeah.
He's a Swedish guy, and he came up. He's like, "Can you say my title?" And it was like Slavonia Ganna Svornia Haya.
Is that
That's
what
like
that?
32-syllable word.
What the?
Is
fuck?
that what that SEK is? Is that like euros or something? What is
SEK
that?
is the it's Swedish. It's Swedish as currency. It's like for every $1 US, it's 0.12 for them. So
So
like,
you just donated like 12 cents.
yeah, like maybe 12,
Tossed a dime in there to.
He's like,
to
oh
rip
yeah,
on
you
Dan.
see 100 kron, and then you're like, oh yeah, 100 kron, and it's like you get to your PayPal, it's like, oh, here's 12 cents, thanks, much appreciated, bud.
PayPal takes their cut.
Well, I will start out with a story because that's kind of like the whole point of this. I've talked about how I met Officer401 in a long video. So me and my buddy Matt on the 3rd of July, this is where it gets interesting because it had been the 4th of July, we probably wouldn't have had an issue. So we're shooting guns in my backyard in a rural neighborhood at like 9 o'clock at night on a Thursday or some shit. And just having fun, drinking illegally and shooting guns. And
Is that legal?
It was,
to
but
shoot in the backyard.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, okay.
I was under the impression that it was, even though I kind of knew it was like, this is totally not okay. Like, I'm
One of
still
those
gonna
better to
pretend.
ask forgiveness than permission things.
Yeah,
because
because I think 99% of the cops would have been like, all right, just don't do it again.
Yeah.
But no.
You got the
You're-
wrong cop.
You're fucking superior.
Yeah. That was my boss.
So naturally, after about an hour and a half of pressing our luck, my buddy Matt's on his last magazine, and I've got a little AK PAP pistol, and that thing shoots a fireball about that big. And we're just shooting into the dirt like, good-blooded Americans. And as he's emptying the last magazine, I'm literally putting guns away, and he walks in with a cop with his gun drawn on him with his whatever he's carrying, and he's like, "Put the guns down. That's what's going on here." And said that he was shooting in the air and some shit. And then no, we're not tasing me, by the way. Stop that. And
that's not a bad idea.
Oh man.
so
and keep in mind, this cop is like 5'5".
yeah,
There's
he was
nothing
adorable.
intimidating.
He was adorable. And
Well, that's cute.
that's why he was an
Basically looking
asshole.
Dan in the eyes.
Fuck off.
So he really did have like little man syndrome.
He really, I think he did. And he disassembled my AK and had Matt in handcuffs, and I was like, "Is there anything you can do to like not arrest my friend? Can you just not do that?" And he goes, "Well, I can arrest both of you." And I was like, All right, have fun with Matt. I'll pick him up later.
I'm gonna bring in 100 sec.
Yeah.
See if that'll get him out.
Here's my 12 cents. And then another officer pulls up behind him, and he starts talking to me, and it's some scrangy looking dude, but he's chill. He's got tattoos up and down his arm, and he's all like, whatever, dude. What's going on here? And I was like, well, my buddy was shooting guns, and he kind of looks around, and he goes, 1 second. Bloop. Turns off his body camera. I'm like, oh fuck.
About to get beat.
My first thought is, oh shit, And no, he goes, I just want to say, I love your videos. And I was naturally the YouTuber in me was like, what videos? I don't know your hands up, don't shoot. Like, and that's how I met him. Of course, he didn't get my friend out of trouble.
No, I didn't have a choice in that. The kind of the prelude to that was the fact that I had seen your videos before because people were like, hey, do you know Do It With Dan? And I was like, no, I've never heard of her. And they were like, well, you should check out the videos because you're in them. Like, you're in 2 or 3 of the videos. And they're like, there's one where it's like, shit, what was it? It was like calling, I don't remember the name of the video, but there's one where he's going down a certain road, and I come flying past him, and this was when I still worked in the city, and I still had my K9 car, and I recognized my car coming by him going code. And if I remember correctly, I think I was going to a burglary. So I was like, oh, cool, I checked it out. So I've started watching a few of his videos, and I learned what his logo looked like. So when I originally showed up to that call, I'm walking through the driveway because when I got there, my superior, I really want to say his name, but I won't say his name.
Fuck that guy.
He's like, hey, I need you to get everybody's information inside the house. So I started walking through the driveway, and I remember the garage door being open, and I remember seeing your flag in the back of the garage. And I was like, shit, that looks like Do It With Dan's logo. So I walk up to the front door, I knock, he answers, and I'm like, what's your name? He's like, Dan. I'm like, holy shit, Do It With Dan. Dude, he turned white as a ghost. Like, I thought he was going to pass out right there in the door. So anyway, that's kind of that's the romantic beginning of our friendship.
Yo, I really thought that's the first time I'd ever been. All right, first of all, let's answer something. Did either one of you guys bring a taser?
No, I did not. But I
should have.
I would guess that if I got on social media, I could have one here.
So
in not too long.
Unfortunately,
$22.
Unfortunately, guys, I don't have a taser with me. So unfortunately,
what, though,
Tase Dan will not be happening. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to do
it won't be happening today.
Maybe we might do one in the future. Can we stop the hashtag Tase Dan?
No, we can keep that going.
It.
Don't stop the hashtag.
All right, whatever. Fuck it.
I will bring my
hashtag Tase Dan.
I will bring my non-department issued that I got from a civilian
1
company.
million gigawatts.
Yeah, but is it 50,000 volts still?
Yes. Fuck you, I'm in charge.
Yes.
I always wanted to get hit with the taser just to.
No, you don't.
No, you don't, man.
No.
It sucks.
I mean, just to check it off the list. You kind of
Bro,
got
I
to.
scream like a bitch.
It's
there's
terrible.
no ego in it. Like
Hashtag shoot Dan. Well, we have plenty of guns. Oh my God! See what you guys have done.
I love it.
Pepper spray Dan.
No,
Pepper spray Dan.
I'll take 10 tasers over being sprayed.
100%. 100%, dude.
Yeah.
So I used to role play at FLETC. I'm sure you guys both know what FLETC is.
Yeah.
The Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, or Fleet Tech, if you're not from my area that I used to be in, and if you're an idiot. And I used to role play, and they had like these setups, and you could volunteer to get tased, and they would pay you extra to get tased. So I'd get hit like 6 or 7 times in a week.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they've changed the rules by the way since then.
Wow.
It used
I
to
can't
be,
imagine our academy like letting us do that.
No. But they needed dummies to test to show how it works, and like you would wear like extra clothes, like I would wear like extra sweatpants and stuff like that, because they'd show that sometimes the taser prongs don't go through. And I did the taser prongs twice. The fish hooks.
Yeah.
I did those twice,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, I'm done. But just the to the arm or whatever, I used to do that 6 or 7 because they'd give me an instant $100 to do it.
I'd do it for $100.
Yes.
A touch tase.
Yeah.
I would do a touch.
Yeah,
tase
that
for
drive
100.
stun, I'd do that for $100.
But the prongs.
Yeah.
The prongs, no, man, because they didn't even use the training ones on me. They used the full deal, like the 1.5 ones.
Let's
I
explain
can
that.
still feel it coming out of my back.
Well, let's explain that. And I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but the taser itself, it delivers the same shock regardless of whatever
Donut eating
whatever
contest.
cartridge you have. But there's different cartridges that attach to the end of it. And for the training ones, I think how long are they? They're like half an inch.
Yeah,
they're
small.
really short. They're
Yeah.
blue, aren't they? Is it the blue ones? Or are those inert?
There's like a yellow inert
They got-
one or something like that.
They got the training ones don't have the barbs on them, right?
I don't know if they do or not. I think they do. I think
I
all
think
of them have
they
the barbs.
do, but they're not as. It's just not as long of a dart.
Just enough to stick
Yeah.
in. Like
Yeah.
it's easy
Dude,
to pull
it
out.
sucks
But
pulling
like they
this
have
out.
the 15 foot, 20
It's like a
foot,
fish hook.
25 feet.
Yeah.
Like if you're having to hit somebody 25 feet, like your spread is going to be so far. It's
Right.
It better be a good shot. So, yeah, no.
I've always been curious. You see the videos. What have you ever heard of anybody falling on the barbs and then like pushing them deeper in, or like?
No, the way that's a good question. The way the barbs are designed, like there's a needle and then there's like a flat surface. Picture like a bullet with a needle coming out of it. So even if you fall on them, like the whole bullet's not going to go into your body. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, they still fucking suck.
they do suck. But the original ones that were created by Taser International, they had a slope to them. So a lot of times the whole thing would go into the body. So they had to make a flat surface. So once it hit the skin, it would stop.
Yeah. We had a trainee one time hit one of our guys, like they were fighting some guy in a hotel balcony or whatever, and popped the taser out, and one of the prongs went like straight through his index finger.
Oh.
I was like, I see the X-rays. It's like stuck through the bone.
Is
like,
that the one they show in
does it-
training now? Where it's like coming out of the fingernail?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
Jesus
know. I just know that
Christ,
it was
dude.
in his bone. Like he had to have surgery to get it out. It's terrible. I would 100% still rather get tased with those prongs than get sprayed.
Yeah, I will never get sprayed
Like
again unless I
that
have
was
to.
that was atrocious.
Yeah.
And some people I've sprayed in life, they seem to handle it like way better. But
Some people like
no.
it.
oh
No,
my
no,
goodness,
Might be like a fetish.
I'm not that person.
I forgot. I did the pepper spray twice, and the first time I forgot I had contacts in, and they melted. Or like they warped them in a way I couldn't reuse them. Obviously, you wouldn't want to reuse them, but they totally screwed up those contacts, and I couldn't get them out because my eyes hurt so much, and you can't breathe. Right? You guys had to get pepper
Right.
sprayed. Yeah, you can't breathe, but they're not really reassuring when you get pepper sprayed because you're like, I can't breathe, and every cop is like, if you can talk, you can breathe, and
Right? Yeah, exactly.
you guys are assholes.
Well, you seem to be making enough noise.
It's like you're making a lot of noise for someone who can't breathe.
Well, he's not blue yet, so
Exactly.
It's like
I
Jesus
think
Christ.
I think I only pepper sprayed somebody like outside of a police car once. It was some crazy
Outside
lady.
of
I
a
was-
police car?
outside of a police car.
I always use it in the back.
That seems like a
That's what
bad
she's-
idea.
No,
This sounds like a routine thing.
no, like yeah, I've used pepper spray on plenty of people.
Like, it's Tuesday. Let me just throw a canister in the bag.
Dude, I
It was just a
absolutely
kid.
like
He's like, let me.
people are
Can I get
banging
a ride home
when
from
people
school?
are banging their heads.
Shut up.
People are banging their heads on the inside of the cage, or they're trying to kick out the windows. It's just
Oh, yeah.
open it up and just douse the back of the patrol car with it. I'll wash it down later. Like it just makes them calm. And I just leave them I don't even bring them out into booking. I just leave them in the back until they're done crying and snotting all over the back of the car to be like, "You done yet?"
Let the jailers get
It's
'em.
like I don't have to fight them. I don't have to like punch them or wrestle them. I just like open it up and just keep dousing the inside until they give up.
Jesus,
Makes it
dude.
real simple.
That
And
sounds,
they hate it. Then they're apologetic at the end. But outside of that which I did a lot for fighters, but only one time it was some scrappy like 110-pound lady. It was like
It's always the
it's
small
always the
females
small
that
chicks
are-
that give you the
They
craziest.
will
fights.
climb
yeah.
you like a fucking ladder.
It's I don't know if it's,
I'll come
it's
at you
little
like a
woman
spider monkey.
syndrome, like me,
Little
like
woman
man syndrome. But for whatever reason, small white girls think they're 6'4" and 230 pounds.
they
It's
fight like it
ridiculous.
too.
They
Yeah,
do.
They fight like
They
it.
do.
Now, real quick question: we did get a super chat question. If I get 100 mile an hour, if I'm doing a 100 mile an hour wheelie and I get blue lights, what are the chances of me getting away? Are the
If you
are the
have blue
chargers
lights.
fast enough
If you're
to
on
keep up?
if you're on one wheel at 100 miles an hour, you're probably going to get away from like 90% of patrol cars.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I mean, everyone, it's funny because I got pulled over by GSP, God's special people. And I was doing a wheelie. I came down about 90 miles an hour on my ZX10. Those things will do about $185, maybe more, the CBR. And, he pulled me over. I pulled over like I had a clear open road for like probably 10 miles. And I could have booked it. But I never run from cops out of respect and for the fact that
Me neither.
Wait,
I have a giant
from
green-
cops you respect. So if you
No,
if
no,
you
no,
happen
no.
to see who they were first, be like, I don't respect that.
out
one.
of respect for cops.
Oh, okay,
but,
okay.
I like
and for
how
the
he was
fact-
like me either.
But the thing is that I have a vibrant gold helmet with a mohawk and a neon green bike.
I was just about to say, like,
What are the chances
There's been
of me-
multiple bikers that have gotten felony warrants on them just by like you just
And I'm
watch
all
them
over
leave. You're like,
YouTube,
yep,
like-
okay, that's got that marking on the side, and this is the helmet, and you put it on Facebook on the so like who's this, and then like people are commenting, oh, I know that guy. He rides over here all the time. Like,
do it with
okay,
Dan.
write
Check
that
him
warrant out.
Yeah. This is his address. This is his first and last name. Have fun. So I pull over, right? But man, I was like, he walks up to me and And the only person who could ever pull off this line would be Georgia State Patrol. He walks up to me, my height, younger guy. He goes, "If you'd have run, you'd have had one hell of a day." I was like, "You mean getting away?" But like, I didn't say that to him because I didn't want to get a ticket, which I got 2 tickets. So,
Damn.
Finn, have you ever run from a cop?
No. It's questionable. I mean, I've never like
It's questionable.
I've like blown by cops and they've pulled out behind me, and I've never like had a cop full behind me with their lights on, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm out. I mean, I've been like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's coming for me, so I dip out pretty hard. But
So you leave the scene because you think he's coming for you?
I think
To avoid
technically
it?
because
It's
their
just
lights
it's a
aren't
preventative
on,
measure.
I'm not technically running, but technicalities don't work out in my favor usually.
I probably shouldn't admit this. I have run from the cops as a cop. And got away. Like when I had my bike, it was a Honda, it was a 600, and I had just gotten it, so I'm not going to give the details of the legal status on the bike itself, but
No title, floated or stolen.
not stolen.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
the other stuff I can't vouch for. So
Do you mean repoed?
no, it wasn't repo. No.
You repoed someone else's bike and you just leave your car on the side of the road and you're like, fuck it. Why
Walk
not
into
have
the
some fun?
impound
my
lot.
God.
What am I going to take today?
Who's going to stop you? The police? Like,
So I'm hauling ass, and like this is my first bike. I'd never had a street bike. I'd always driven dirt bikes, so like I had no idea how much power was in a street bike, and it was just a 600. Like there was nothing.
thank you,
badass
Savage
about it.
Rides.
So I'm hauling ass down this main road over by Target, and so this cop like slams on his brakes and does a U-turn at the intersection. And I'm like, what should I do? What would be the ethical thing for me to do? Fuck this.
Drops
Dude, I
2
hit the
gears.
neighborhood, like I hit the main road, if you know where I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Jetted south and went ghost. And I that was 11 years ago before I was in law enforcement. I fully support law enforcement now.
I used to, when I was a brand new cop, I would unintelligently chase bikes. And
That's adorable.
yeah, it was, I never caught one ever. If they ran, they ran, and I never caught them. And I've just decided now, like most of the time, like it's going to end bad for somebody.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth it unless that person like kidnapped a kid or something like that, or was a murderer. It's not worth putting everybody at risk to run that fast. It's just not.
Yeah,
And
'cause-
usually you can get the distinguishing markers. It's a matter of time, and you'll find them anyway.
And
So
you
it's-
never caught one?
never once. No.
Really? Well,
Not
see,
one
what-
that ran. I mean, people have pulled over, but
heard it here,
I've
folks.
never done a chase with a
bike.
With a bike.
You heard it here.
That stopped, but
Run.
I never ran against like cruisers. There's always like crotch rockets that ran from me. So
Yeah, because cruisers can do about $1.
yeah, I'll chase. I would
If
chase
they're lucky.
because they're not gonna get away.
We'll see what Mike's not
The
putting out
Harleys will
there is-
vibrate loose before they get away from you. Those things will start falling apart.
What Mike's not saying is he was talking about bicycles the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Schwinn.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I've seen some pretty like people who are like really good on bicycles. I know for a fact that if you were to run on a bicycle and have like a trail to go, you'd get away, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. They're way more
Absolutely.
versatile. It's
Although
like
there's some now
dirt
like
bikes.
the mountain bike training, the bike training is actually pretty intense. And like where I used to work, you could actually beat the cars there if you were on the bike, because the way that the city was laid out, they had these trails through this park that was like centralized. So if you were getting from one place to
in
another,
Detroit?
it's just south of Detroit.
Okay.
But you'd be able to ride through and beat the cars there. So if you got a call over here, you could actually get there faster on a bicycle. Than
See,
in a
that would make
cop car.
sense in a metropolitan area. I don't know.
Like New York.
Yeah,
would
I
be,
was just
like
about to say
no
that.
doubt. I've seen the traffic in New York, not personally, but I mean, you've been in New York. Is it just as bad as what everyone is
Dude,
like?
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why
you
Casey
could
and I
basically
said-
walk and get places so
Right.
much faster.
But that happened right up the road from me. They were ripping up the road, and I was stuck behind this like street sweeper, and there's a cop in front of me, so I couldn't blow by him like I wanted to. And I was on the H2, I was literally had the clutch in, bike off, walking it, and there was 2 old ladies on the sidewalk with a dog walking faster than traffic was moving. And I was like, this is why people shoot things up. Like, I'm pretty sure this is why that shooting at the movie theater happened, is because of construction. Let's
Yeah,
cut that
exactly.
out. Let's cut that out.
very dark.
I was like, I instantly regretted it as those things came out of my mouth saying it.
I have always been curious. I know it probably just a rumor, but everyone always said that the cops aren't supposed to chase bikes. Like apparently, it's like more dangerous or.
I don't know. We have different policies. Like different departments would have different policies. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a department that said, "Hey, our policy is you don't chase bikes."
Yeah.
It probably exists.
It like varies from county to county, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, so like the department, I just left one department and went to a new one. So at the old one I worked at for pursuits, you'd have you have dispatch that you're communicating with regularly, and then you have a desk boss who's monitoring all that. He can also get on the radio, and they would instantly be in charge, right? So if I said, "Hey, I'm chasing such and such of a vehicle," then he's going to monitor that. They're going to want to know like how fast are you going, what directions, what are the conditions of traffic, what are you chasing him for, you know, all that stuff. And then they're going to monitor that, and they're going to make a decision at some point whether you're going to keep going or whether they're going to terminate that pursuit. So it's usually, and I've terminated myself too, because I've been in situations where it's like you're in a 35 mile an hour zone, and you look down, you're going 90 miles an hour after somebody, and you're just like, this isn't worth it. For what? A traffic ticket?
That's
someone,
ethical.
Yeah,
that's very ethical.
For someone stealing a box of tools at Walmart, it's just not worth it to me. You know, like completely different. Like one time, my longest pursuit ever was for a bank robber, but he had been armed and had robbed multiple banks. Like this guy was, you know, kind of like pulling out the stops, right?
Yeah.
Like we got to get this guy. We have to stop him, right? So that was like 47 cop cars chasing one guy, like blocking everything, like, and waited till we could. It took like 20 minutes. We finally, the state police pitted him or whatever else, and we got it ended. But the new department I went to, that's all on me. Like the policy is you can chase till the wheels fall off.
Really?
If that's what you like, but there is no desk boss. It's a very small department. So if you are going to get involved in a chase, you have to make that decision. And dude, I freaking want to go home, you know. Like,
well, see,
I don't want to be stupid.
Well, see, that sounds like what every cop wants, is that option that I get to control whether or not, you know, that's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of liability.
Because if it's on somebody else, if it's on a supervisor, then your ass is covered. Like, you're fine. But if it's all on you and you make the wrong decision and some little kid gets hit or something, like that's something, number one, you have to live with emotionally, and number two, financially.
If you toss your helmet, the cops aren't allowed to chase you. What?
That's not true.
Canada's weird. That's Canada.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Canada.
Well, that's Canada.
Yeah.
Canada.
Now, I did see a question that I thought was pretty interesting. Is like, why don't, and I've always wondered this, why don't cops get sport bikes instead of, it seems like the ethical, or not ethical, that's totally the wrong word, but it seems like the smart idea because, you know, sport bikes are more narrow, they're faster, they accelerate quicker versus these massive Harleys, you know. I've seen so many times in Atlanta traffic specifically of a cop on a big cruiser splitting lanes to catch someone. And I'm like, that would be so much easier if his bike wasn't 12 feet wide.
Yeah,
These things are huge.
They have BMW crossovers,
Like
a lot of departments.
The 1200s.
Yeah,
I actually just saw one of those in Atlanta. I guess they all switched over because that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we were talking about that when we saw the dude on Blood Mountain that passed all of us.
I definitely thought that was a cop.
We were on this mountain in northern Georgia called Blood Mountain. It's a popular spot for bikes and even Miatas to come up there and, you know, twist the canyons. Other cars than Miatas, but, you know, it seems to always be Miatas. And sitting on the side of the road was this big old BMW 1200 that he thought was a cop. He was dead sure it was a cop because he did kind of look like a cop. And then we passed him. We flew by him on our sport bikes. And then probably about 2 seconds later, he's passing us on the outside and the inside, just like hauling ass through this mountains. And I was like, damn.
I think the worst part about that was that he was a lot older than us, like gray hair. He took his helmet off, and I was just shocked. I was like, how?
He's older than Mike.
That's old.
I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think? Because we don't have a bike unit. Like, our department has one dual-purpose bike, but it can't go over like 45 miles an hour or something. But they assigned it to the traffic division. So I don't know.
That's funny.
Nobody ever uses it.
I don't, I think it just depends on the environment. Like we were saying, like if you got a place like New York, bikes could be great, motorcycles, because they can get places where other places, other cars can't. They can zip down alleys easier. They can maneuver and get places faster that way and be a little bit more nimble. Out in a rural area, I don't even know why you would have motorcycle patrols. I don't even understand why they would do it other than just tradition. Yeah. Having motor units.
I thought of two things because when Finn and I were getting the H2s dynoed, there was a motorcycle cop there, and he was talking about his bike, and I just realized this is like, I remember looking at the seating position of that bike. Those guys are on the bike for like 8 to 12 hours a day.
That makes a lot
A
of
sport
sense.
bike would not be comfortable.
Yeah,
now, that
that's
doesn't
true.
make sense why you wouldn't have like an upright sport bike like this. Like you have like these Ninja 650s, which are more upright, but they
Have
still
like
have.
FZ10 or something.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, saddlebags. He had his raincoat. He had all of his gear. He had extra boots.
Radar
he had
gun.
radars and stuff like that all over it. And plus, I guarantee you, Harley has a massive contract.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
with,
sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I bet they give them those bikes. You know, they're like $15,000 to $20,000 police cruisers, the interceptors or whatever they call them. I guarantee you those things would go for like $2 or $3 grand for departments just because Harley's
Yeah.
all hard about cops.
I know these BMW ones, they've got like the rack for the assault rifle and shotgun on the back. You know, you can put your equipment. You know, obviously you have to have some gear with you to be able to do your job. So, but
Well, and that's another thing is a lot of the officers that are assigned to something like that would be in traffic.
Yeah.
So if you're in the traffic division, like Dan said, I mean, you have to have your traffic one, like your vest.
Yep.
We have flares in our trunk. Like
Yeah.
we have this whole
Yeah.
box of stuff that you have to be able to fit.
Right.
It'd be kind of hard to do that on a Ninja.
for sure.
I mean, if you got an H2, like they just came out with the sport touring version of the H2, the
I did
H2
see
SX.
Really?
It's the same engine as the H2. You know, the one that I blew by you guys doing 140
yeah.
in third gear.
On a closed course in Mexico.
In Mexico.
Well, yeah, in a closed course in Mexico. We'll go over that in a second because the comments were great. A handful of those were good. But the what was I gonna say? The sport touring version has the same engine. I think it's detuned probably slightly just for for convenience because that throttle, you can attest to this. The throttle is like a light switch. There's only go. There is no off, or there's no like slow or medium.
gradual,
There
yeah.
is off and there's on, and it's ridiculous how fast those things are. So I could see one of those. You put some lights on that. It's a full fairing.
That'd
like
be so cool.
dude, who's gonna stop you? I will sign up for a motorcycle division tomorrow.
I think we should put blue lights on yours.
I think we should.
Just for shits and
Who's
giggles.
gonna stop me? The police?
Well, if they stop you, be like, hey, these don't work.
They're
like,
not
have
gonna.
a kill switch underneath and be like, this switch, it doesn't even work.
They're not gonna stop me.
And they're white. They're white lights.
You guys are lucky I pulled over for you guys.
Exactly.
My CBR
So
can
glad
do
you
blue
did.
lights.
Yeah. Didn't you throw those neons on it?
Yeah.
Oh my
I got a
god.
whole kit on there.
No, blue lights are illegal. Blue and red,
Blue and red or flashing.
flashing anything
At
flashing.
least in Georgia, I don't know. about
Anything
other
that has the
places.
capability of flashing.
Yeah, that's different for every state because some states have different color lights. There's red for police.
Yeah, see, that's so
Oh yeah,
weird to me.
Georgia's blue only right
Yeah.
now.
Well, no.
Michigan State police was like that for forever. They
least
only
Atlanta
had
is.
Well, it's either
Atlanta's
a
blue
red
only.
bulb.
Well, for like, everybody I've seen in Georgia, like State Patrol is only blue. That's all they use. Blue, and I've seen like a couple amber lights in the back, but that's really it. It's just more for,
For
like,
safety
caution.
lights.
We
Exactly.
saw those yesterday while we were waiting for him. Remember?
Yeah. But every department I've been at or that I've seen locally is either blue or they're blue and red. There's no department in Georgia that I know of that's just red. That's fire here.
Yeah.
So
Right.
They need a dimmer switch on those things. Dude, I was in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta at night, coming home one night, and a cop had pulled someone over, and he had just the rear sets on of all blue. I swear to God, when I passed him, I got a tan. Those things are so fucking bright. They're ridiculous.
It's like looking at the sun.
Yeah, I was like,
Get a seizure.
I was sitting over there with my 10% off heat wave visual sunglasses. I had those on. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's the middle of the night, and I can still see the solar flare. It was so bright.
Yeah, and the bad thing about that, it's great because it's noticeable, and that's the idea.
Yeah.
But then it's like drunks when you're out on the side of the road. They're just like drawn
They're
to that,
drawn
like
to it.
moth to a flame. Like, oh, pretty lights, you know, like it's just like
Is it
like
Christmas already?
instinctually just like turn toward it.
That's a good question that I saw. Did you have any issues becoming a cop with those tattoos, or did you get them
I got 'em
aggressively?
after.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, did they?
I didn't get my first tattoo until I think I was a cop 2 or 3 years by then.
Do they give you shit? I know the military does. If you have tattoos
military-
before, you can.
Well, yeah,
But you
they-
can't after.
They recently just lifted that.
Did they?
Yeah, because
Really?
I tried to re-enlist in the Air Force 3 or 4 years ago.
I didn't know you were in the military.
Yeah, I was in the
thank
Air
you for your
Force.
service, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
You
Yeah,
homo?
we. Well, I tried to re-enlist a few years ago, and they were like, "Hey, listen, dude, you're like your re-enlistment code is good. I had my DD-214 and everything ready, so they're like, do you have any kids?" It's like, yeah, and I didn't have my son at the time. I just had my daughter. So I was like, yeah, I've got one kid. Are you married? Yeah, unfortunately. So they went through this list of questions, and they're like, do you have any tattoos that cover more than 25% of your exposed arm? And I was like, yeah. He was like, sorry, bro. He's like, it doesn't matter what your re-enlistment code is. Like, I got to
That is so insane to me.
you. But they recently changed that. Apparently, the Air Force, I don't know about the other branches, but the Air Force has lifted that now. as of like 4 or 5 months ago.
I've seen so many good candidates for cops get passed up.
Oh yeah.
Just because of a tattoo. Not even not even an exposed one. Sometimes they just have a policy like no tattoo policy, or no exposure. So even if you had a little one on your wrist, it could be covered up by a watch. Nope, because it's.
Well, I
it's
could
out
understand if you had like titties up to your elbow, but you know what I mean. Like this one's Japanese culture. Like this one's the 4 elements. Like there's nothing rude about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
I get it.
Very popular. That's that Japanese painting, right? The one on your right arm, or is that the one with the waves and stuff, or is that
No? This was actually the person that did both of these. He was a cop, and I told him, I was like, I gave him the basic concept on the 4 elements.
Just kidding.
He's gonna be asking me, hey, who's that guy that gave you the tattoos? Let me get his number.
Yeah, hit me up, dog.
But I told him, I was like, just be creative, and he came up with all this on his own. So.
Do you think there's like, what would your guys' perspective be if you got pulled over by a cop with like face tats, neck and face?
I'd be like, this guy's gonna ask me for drugs.
He's gonna try to sell you drugs.
He's like, yo, dog, I stole this cop car. You want to go fucking hang out? And I'd be like, of course.
But you call 911 like, I think I'm being used
Dude,
by
I had that
impersonation here.
There is a back in Brunswick, there was this green old Ford like not F-150. What's the Expedition? There's a green Expedition or Explorer or whatever that has cop lights on it. And he was pulling me over one day, and I just continued to drive. I was like, this guy ain't a fucking cop. Fuck this guy, So I called the department. I was like, yeah, listen, I'm about to get pulled over by this dude in like a raggedy ass 2001 Explorer. It's like green, the paint's fucked up. Is that a real cop? And they told me, yeah. They said, yeah, we know exactly who you're talking about. It was like an undercover division or some shit. I was like, all right. I just kept driving.
That's awesome.
He shut his lights off after about 10 minutes, and he was just like, fuck, I don't know. I don't think he was real.
There would have to be a limit, right? I mean, I get it to tattoos. I mean, you don't want to,
And also the type of tattoos probably matter too. Like,
well, and I can understand.
If you have like cut here,
straight
fuck the
gang
police
tats or something
on your neck, and like teardrops
across,
Yeah, but what if that person had that, and then like they had some experience in their life and changed their mind, and then they're like, I'm gonna go serve as a cop.
Or what
Why
if
not?
it didn't mean that? Like, what if somebody had FTP and it's like for the people because
Yeah.
they believe in the Constitution?
For the police.
Ones if they're a nerd, file transfer protocol.
HTTP.
Hardcore nerd, dude.
Yeah.
HTTP on the forehead.
404 not found.
I have a terrible story about judging someone by their tattoos, and he's occasionally checked out my channel. But there's this guy at my gym. He's about my height, but he's super like shredded, jacked, more pale skinned black guy, and he's got tattoos all over his body. And there was a Hayabusa parked at the gym, and it ended up being Blair's. But I just walked up to the baddest looking motherfucker in that gym. I was like, hey, dude, is that your bike outside? Expect him to be all like, he was like, yeah. But he was all like, yes, sir, that's my bike. That's not, no, he's like, no, sir, that's not my bike. I think it's actually hers over there. And I was like, well, him and I are friends now. And he's like a youth minister or a pastor or something like that. And I just assume that, change of heart, it can happen. And he's a really cool dude. Him and I talk about cars
awesome.
and stuff all the time. Like, he's super nice and genuine guy. And I felt so bad for judging a book by its cover.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I'm sure, what you guys do
It
all
happens.
the time when you're arresting people.
Absolutely.
Well, and see, what's funny is
When I'm
doing,
profiling.
Like, you cops. Yeah. Racist. Cis scum.
doing patrol and traffic for so long, because March will be 10 years for me, I have learned more not to judge a book by its cover since I've been in CID. Like, bringing people in and getting to know them and doing interviews and stuff like that. Like, you really learn, the big bad guy will break down crying, and it's the little guy that's not scared. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
We've been picked on our whole lives. That's why.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
We're
Hard
used to-
outer shell. You're like a pistachio.
we're
I just have
so
to crack
used.
you enough.
Yeah. Just bust me over the head until I pass out or give you information.
I have to turn the camera off for that first.
That's funny as hell, though, that I never thought about the whole what cops think about when a bike runs. Are you guys just like, darn it, like, gosh, diddly dang it?
I don't know. When I was first I don't know how it was for you. I think pretty much every new cop is sort of like super eager, right?
Yeah.
Like you want
Gung-ho.
to go catch the bad guy, man. You want to like
Well, and you're almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like offensive. Like, how dare somebody run from me? I have a badge.
I am the
Right.
law.
I have a badge. Like, who the fuck are you? Right? But now it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
it's I don't even like
changes
I would
over
run
time.
from me.
it doesn't even like I don't know. I don't even get my increased heart rate anymore. Like if I saw a bike take off, I'd be like, where's the nearest coffee?
Where's the nearest
Starbucks?
Dunkin' Donuts?
Do we have a license plate? No. All right. Well, see you again sometime. One of these days. You learn. Like I think it's just like anything else in life, right? Like wisdom comes with this experience, and then you just learn. Like I'll catch him later. Like you'll see somebody like a year later or something like that, and you go and they wreck their bike, and then you pull up on the crash, and you're like,
I remember you.
how you doing?
Yeah.
Remember last July? I do.
I think I had a bit of that when I wrecked my bike back where I used to live in
Dude, that was
Brunswick.
so messed up that he
Yeah.
ticketed you.
Yeah, I mean, like I totally deserved it at the time.
But still, you're going through enough. You probably
I
couldn't
was
even
like-
wipe yourself, let alone.
Oh no, I
need a
couldn't.
ticket.
I couldn't. And taking a shower and washing my hair because I didn't have any skin left on my hands. I kind of told you guys about this, but I got into a wreck on my bike, and I'm sure that the lady who pulled me over, and I wouldn't doubt it if one of you guys knew her, like big old bitch of a woman. She's huge. She towered over me. She's
Big
like
Bertha?
6'1", maybe 199 pounds, and so
really
I
pricey.
wreck, and my buddy Cameron is the first one that responds to the scene. And I'm sitting on the side of the road, pants cut off. I've got no skin on my hands, and both my feet are snapped in half. And he comes up, he's got that big stupid hat you guys wear.
I don't wear that.
Dan, is that you? And I'm like, what's up, dude? Like totally, completely fucked up. And then some other lady responds, and I guess one or two or seven people said I was doing a wheelie, whatever. And so she took that information and said, okay, here's a ticket for doing a wheelie. And I was like, I'm sitting in the hospital. She's like, sign here. And I was like,
with a pin in your teeth.
I had no fucking skin on my hands. My hands were literally like this. It looked like someone had beat my hands with like a hot iron. My hands were so fucked up. It was 3rd-degree burns on both my palms, and all my fingertips were completely gone.
How long did it take till like your hands were like semi-normal?
I could probably jerk it again after about 4 months. It was a careful
Man, that must
jerk.
have been.
Well, they
a
gave
you
long,
like hair
cream,
jerk.
right?
It was a long 4 months.
A little lidocaine.
They did. Yeah, they had this stuff called like Silverdine cream, something like that. You could get it over the counter now, I think. But that stuff made my hands heal up so fucking quick. I was completely blown away by how good this stuff. I still have a bunch of it left over in case I, rub my dick raw or something like that.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. It works really well.
The
Anyway.
fact that we both thought of that.
It's like, do you have any extra? Asking for a.
I'm asking for a friend.
It's literally that story is the reason I ride with gloves every time I ride.
I will. Yeah, that reason's the same reason I ride
I've
with
literally
gloves
stopped
every
by a
time.
shop after losing gloves and bought gloves
Like some
for that
mechanic gloves
purpose.
or
And I
something.
was like,
So you can keep jacking it, or so you don't lose your skin.
He doesn't-
I
he
want to be
doesn't-
able to wipe after. But
Dude, washing my hair, it was funny. I was sitting in the back of the ambulance, where they put you, there's no option. I thought you could deny service. I tried 100 times to deny service, and they casually loaded me up. I was
God,
like,
that's so
I was
expensive.
like, I'm good. I'll figure it out. I was like, I'm good. And they're like, no, you're not. And they just continued to load me in the ambulance. They were very persistent. I thought you could deny service. Nope. They just. And don't think you're not paying that. They just take that right out of your bank account. They take that $5,000 out of your bank account.
Can you get your debit card out for me? You're my hands. I can't. Like, oh, I'll get it. For
Yeah,
you.
we'll get
Do
it. So he's
We've
like,
got Stripe. We'll just run it now.
Just give me your PayPal login. We'll.
dude, this is how expensive it was. All right, this is when I knew I was fucked because I'm sitting in the back of the ambulance and they're like, "What hurts worse, your hands or your feet?" And I'm like, I was still in shock. I was like, it doesn't really hurt all that bad. I'm not bad. So this guy takes out a big bottle of Fiji water, and that's when I saw that bottle of Fiji water. I'm like, this is gonna cost a lot, isn't it?
It's like that's like the crack the seal at the hotels.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
was
gonna
just
be
thinking
$4 if you
yeah.
even like crack the Fiji. And
Yeah,
it's like
here's a
$8
$3 stickers. Yeah.
Can't you just use tap water?
So he's like, what hurts worse, your hands or your feet? I'm like, I'm good. And he pours this water over my hands. I'm like, definitely my hands, 100% my hands. And I'm watching this like $8 water pour in my hands. I'm like, oh no. And it's like blood and gravel just spitting on the floor. And so I reach into my pocket, which my fingertips are now sticking to the inside of my pocket because there's no skin on them. And I pull out my phone. I'm like, would you do me a favor and make a phone call? And he's like, yeah, you want me to call your mom or someone? I was like, no, call my insurance company and have them put full coverage on my bike. And he almost did it. He was this close to doing it.
Really?
He was about to hook me up, but we got to the hospital quicker than he thought. And he's like, all right, you got to go. And I was like, fuck. And then, my parents weren't willing to do that for me. They're like, you going to learn today.
What about helmets in Georgia? Are they required?
Yep.
Every state that touches Georgia, there's no helmet law, but Georgia, you require a helmet.
I'm so thankful for that because
I mean, I would
be
still-
an idiot and not ride with one. And
I'd still wear a helmet.
So what's your perspective on that? Like, I kind of have my own opinion, but I'm curious what you guys think as guys who ride bikes regularly.
Oh, yeah.
The way I would describe it is that imagine not wearing your seatbelt while you're driving, but instead you tape knives to your steering wheel. Would you go with that risk? Me neither. Yeah, I would never go with that risk.
I have knives on my steering wheel. Even on the rental car, I brought them. I put them on.
Yeah.
I've only one time ever ridden without my helmet. It was when I was in Panama, and it was super uncomfortable. I felt wrong the whole time. It was on the main strip in front of all the hotels and stuff, and it's like a 35 zone, and I didn't like it at all. I felt like I was gonna die the entire time.
Some people say like, well, it's my right, but the problem is, you exercise your right, I have to scoop you up off the side of the road. So it's really not just your right. Like, so when you're on the public roadway, you are impacting first responders and everybody else that has to deal with the fallout of not doing that, I guess.
I 100% agree with that statement. That's kind of always been my argument. It's that it's not you who you affect. It's like, well, it's my life. I should be able to choose whether or not my brain hits the ground. It's like, that's not the problem. Right. It's the family of 4 when you hit them at 80 miles an hour that have your brain scattered across their face.
Right.
That's the family that you affect. And I know that sounds kind of contradictory because I drive 190 miles an hour on open roads, but
in Mexico.
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
Closed, controlled courses.
These guys get it. But yeah, I agree 100% that at least if you were to hit a car or a yellow Porsche of some sort doing way over the speed limit, your head's going to be contained unless it gets severed in that helmet.
Right.
And at that point, like if your head gets severed, there's nothing your helmet could have done. But
I mean, then again, at the speeds we ride, I don't think a helmet's doing much.
It's gonna. What I'm saying is that it just kind of keeps you in this like sarcophagus, so it's not as gory. I'm sure you guys. I know when I'll go into this in a minute. When I was training to be a cop, when I wanted to be a cop, they show you a bunch of videos and like clips, and they make you watch all this stuff. At least that's kind of what we did. And I was like, they're like, this is the type of shit you're gonna see as an officer. And I was like, okay. And they showed us like bikers cut in half and like cars crumpled together. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And like headshot wounds. I'm like, fucking, ugh.
Well, see, I started, and I'm kind of careful who I tell this to. Of course, we're on, live stream now, but
it's only us guys.
I started watching that stuff like before I became a cop because I knew I was going to be exposed to it. So back then it was like rotten.com and stuff like that. Now it's documentingreality.com. And the same sort of thing you can see.
Or bestgore.org or whatever.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's anything from like, suicide jumpers to shotguns and stuff like that. But I started watching that stuff almost in an attempt to desensitize myself from seeing that. And in a sense, it worked because when I saw it in person, nothing compares to being able to see it, touch it, and smell it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Smelling it.
Smelling it is...
Smelling it.
The smell.
But it
at
least...
Gunpowder residue mixed with death is noticeable.
When you smell the iron from blood and gunpowder, like it's bad.
That's
but
crazy.
At least watching that stuff kind of prepared you for it almost, in some sense. But at the same time, it almost makes you a little bit paranoid about death.
Yeah.
When you see it constantly.
Yeah.
So...
It makes you realize how quickly someone's life is just gone.
Exactly.
I saw a shooting at Walmart in Brunswick where I used to live, and it was fucking weird. It was like I was in Walmart, and I watched it happen, and the dude got shot in the back of the head. And it went from like being a person to being just like this lump of parts.
Yeah.
It was a dude who was running, got shot, and fell over. And I watched, and I was like, it took me probably like 12 seconds, and I said out loud, I remember going, holy fuck, that guy's dead. I remember it was just like a snap, and I was like, it was just a lump of flesh at that point. And that was probably the most, like, I'm trying to think of the word.
It's humbling.
I wouldn't say, humbling is not the right word.
It's a reality check.
Yeah, it's a reality check.
I realized at that point, I was like, holy crap, you go from being this person who has a family and maybe even a kid to being like literally just a ball of flesh. And it's like so weird to think that just one little tiny bullet enters the brain and then the whole body.
It's a whole interesting...
It's useless. At that point, it's
transition.
just a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I remember, like... I had never really had experience before being a cop with obviously seeing a ton of death and destruction and whatever else. Now, it became a regular thing, but I remember like maybe a year and a half in to being on the job, like we had a guy that got hit at like full speed, 60, 70 miles an hour by a car crossing the street. His shoes were in like, 100 yards this way. Like his skull was crushed. You could see through his skull to the concrete. And so we tape all the whole scene off or whatever else, and we're doing this, and we had ordered pizza for like lunch for the shift. Oh. So they brought the car, and they're like, "Hey, you want the pizza?" And I'm like, "Cause we're gonna be out there for hours, So we're like, "So yeah." And I realized all of a sudden, like, I'm eating pizza while looking through a dude's head, and this is like normal now.
It's Tuesday.
Like,
yeah.
Today's
and then
Tuesday.
like 2 hours later, you clear the scene and you're on to the next thing.
Yep.
And you're not like, you don't realize like, dude, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Like eating pizza over the top of a dead guy,
which
like,
kind of looks like pizza. I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's like it's a
It
different world.
resembles marinara.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like, geez, it's a weird line to walk, right? Because you want to be able to be compassionate, but you also have to have like sort of like this way of dealing with that all the time. You have to be somewhat.
It's hard to find
cold
that
to
level. Exactly. It's hard to find that level of compassion, but also you have to be able to take control over that situation.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, family members are showing up.
Yeah, you gotta
friends
pull
are
your
showing
emotions
up,
out of it.
People are screaming and they're pissed at you for
Boogie!
for holding them back.
Why?
Boogang!
Why?
Boogang! But they're
No,
pissed at you because you're holding them back from their loved one, but you're doing that because you have to conduct an investigation. They don't understand that at the time.
Yeah.
And even afterward, they might not understand that.
Yeah.
So it's hard, man. It's hard because you're having to deal with the graphic side of seeing something like that, but at the same time handling a stressful situation of family members who might fight you.
I had a mom
to
straight
get
up
to
punch
the-
me in the face
they
when I
will.
wouldn't let her see her
Really?
son.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he
That's a
OD'd
hard-
on heroin. It was nasty looking. I wasn't gonna be the one to let her. I didn't want her to see her son that way.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course not.
So
But usually the people who are used to seeing their family members like that are kind of like used to it. They just
Yeah.
But what's crazy is the expectations, I think, of civilians. I don't know if I want to say civilians because cops are also civilians. They're just civilians with badges, but. It's like people who aren't police officers, they have this weird expectation where they want you to be like, that want you to be desensitized to the situation, but also show extreme compassion in certain situations. And they also want you to be a cold-blooded killer when it comes to someone shooting up a school or something like that. But at the same time, they're like, oh, you're supposed to have compassion for someone who just shot someone at a gas station. He didn't do nothing, stuff like that. It's the expectations of police officers, I think, are ridiculous versus that of like, we'll say the military, where it's like, you go here, you kill shit, you break shit, you come home.
yeah,
Like that's it's such a weird separation where it's like, I don't want to say that military and police are on the same level because I'll get chewed out by everyone in the world, but it's like the military, they go over there and they see it every day and they come home and they have like PTSD, but they expect a cop to go clean up a motorcycle accident where some dude's literally from here to 90 feet over there, like starting to ending his body,
Yeah, right.
And they're like, all right, be normal. See you at work tomorrow. Cool. All right, later.
I literally couldn't imagine that. I mean, I watch a scary movie before I go to bed, and I'm like, let's put something not so bad on. I mean, I
gotta
really
play some
couldn't
Mario
imagine.
Kart.
I've never experienced
let's,
oh my God.
let's play Mario Kart for an hour, okay?
Dan, do you have a
I mean,
nightlight?
I've been pretty quiet about this whole thing because I've never really experienced anything like that. I mean,
And we're
I
not
could-
trying
I
to toot
really
our own
couldn't
horn
imagine.
by.
Oh no, not at all.
no.
Not at all.
I hope you don't take it as that. Like
Yeah.
it's not us.
I'm so cool.
We're just trying to explain like our side of it. There's so much that people don't see, and that's why when I was on patrol, like I encouraged people like Yummy R6 to come ride with me. Like come see what I do. It's not what you see on TV. It's not running and gunning. The 5 minutes of excitement that you see on TV is going to be
5 hours of
followed by
paperwork.
5 hours of paperwork. Yeah. So anyway, it's just
I'm sure
there's
EMS
so many-
is the same way. Someone said that EMS is the same way.
Yeah,
EMS,
I
absolutely.
dated a girl who's EMS, and like the stories that she would tell me about, like even the worst, like babies getting on the freeway somehow, and just like
Yeah.
it's like, and then she goes to work the next day and is like, okay, let's do a 48-hour shift of the same shit, and it's like fucking Christ.
I've been a big believer, like it'll never happen, I don't think, in my lifetime, but I really think that they should have, for like law enforcement careers or first responders, they should have a sort of like a cycle to where you're only actually, after training, like actively doing that for a certain number of years. They should limit it. I think there's like, dude, you're there.
You liberal.
8 or 10 years. Yeah.
You liberal.
I'm a
You
snowflake.
snowflake.
How long have you been a cop?
8.5 years.
Tell me you just can't go around shooting innocent people and then get over it.
I keep thinking like you've been a cop for like 23 years.
No, it's just because I'm old.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
No, I agree with you. I think that's a good point, that if you're exposed to such a harsh reality, and I don't think people really understand that. I know I've done several ride-alongs back when I was going to be a cop, that I know that a lot of it is downtime, but that doesn't all of a sudden make up for the fact that the stuff that you see. It's
I'm so glad you said that. So the best analogy that I've ever heard from someone when it comes to describing police work is long periods of boredom interrupted by moments of sheer terror.
Yeah. Yes.
That sums up our job. I mean, that's it. I mean, you could go 5 hours without doing anything, and then you're getting shot at for 30 seconds. You're having to pull bodies out of something,
Yeah.
and then it's back to report time or whatever else. So
Yep.
it's interrupted, random increments of time.
It's weird.
Routine Travis stuck. Bam, shooting right now. Let's go.
See, I always thought, I don't know
Like
why,
the liberal.
but I always figured
Thanks,
cops
Blake.
got like, hey, go home. You just dealt with this horrible thing, and you've had enough for the day.
I'm glad
you don't
okay.
need to keep doing that.
Great point. The only time that they're going to send us home, and they call it administrative leave, and people get so pissed off about this because they're like, oh, that cop's getting paid to be like on vacation when he was just in a shooting.
Gets rewarded for
Yeah.
shooting somebody.
The only time that we get sent home, like I don't know how it is in Michigan, but in Georgia, if an officer is involved in a shooting, we actually had this happen recently. I won't go into the particulars, but we had an officer involved shooting. GBI, which is like the state's version of the FBI, came down. They take your weapon and then they interview you. They do like a formal interview. That's why it's an important part to be like part of the PBA. So you have like an attorney and stuff like that. But they take your weapon and they put you on administrative leave for up to, I mean, it could be months. It could be until the GBI clears you that you did what you were supposed to do in this shooting. But that's the only time.
I don't know if
they're
it's the
ever gonna
same
send
in
you
Georgia.
home.
In Michigan, you're actually charged with homicide.
Are you serious?
The
Wow.
papers are actually drawn up. It's stressful for these
So
guys.
it's guilty until proven innocent.
Well, it's like, hey, you discharged your firearm, you killed someone, you committed the act, right? So the papers are drawn up, those are submitted to the prosecutor's office, and they're reviewed. And they can, just like anybody else, you're not arrested and arraigned, but the charges are still drawn up, and the prosecutor's office has to deny it. So
That's
you're investigated.
fucked. Wow.
So literally, I have a buddy that I went to the academy with who's involved in a shooting. It was a year. He was off work for a year with that weight on his shoulder. Like, is the prosecutor going to charge me or not?
Was
Dude,
he
that's
paid in the
fucking
meantime?
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
That would make me
paid
scared to
administrative
shoot
leave.
somebody, I mean,
but still,
Yeah,
the
still,
stress
that's
level.
a good point.
Yeah.
Mention that. Finn made a really good point. So
I'd be really worried about shooting someone. I mean, it would be in the back of my mind. I'm going to get in trouble possibly.
yeah,
and-
That was
That's
did
a
you watch the
huge
video?
problem.
Did you watch the video with the Vietnam vet when you went through the academy? The guy in the white truck that the officer stops and he pulls out an AK-47.
Yep.
And he starts loading up rounds, and the officer's like, "Stop it! Stop loading your weapon! Stop
Yep.
loading your weapon!" He fully loads
Yes.
this AK-47 and kills this cop. And the reason why this cop died was because of hesitation.
Yeah.
Hesitation will get you killed quicker than anything else. But in today's society, any cop that shoots somebody is automatically in the wrong.
Yeah.
So
Getting
until
real
you
deep
prove
here.
otherwise, until you prove justified, which some people are going to think you're not justified, even if somebody's pointing a weapon at you, you're still not justified unless you're getting shot
Yeah.
at. That hesitation has gotten a lot of people killed.
I have another friend of mine that was involved in a shooting, justified shooting, and then when he came back to work, a very similar situation happened, only this time he got caught up in the door of the car, like the window came up, and he was being drugged by the car, and so he's got his gun out, but he said, fortunately, it was not another shooting, but he's like, all I could think about was, man, this would be my second shooting, and this is like a black female, and even though I'm getting drugged by this car, if I pull this
The
trigger,
media.
I'm screwed.
The media
and
would
that's
have
what's
a
going
field
through his
day.
head.
Exactly.
So this we're in a completely different world media wise in the 70s or 80s or even 90s. I mean, it's like all this stuff instantly is online, for everybody
Yeah.
to judge, and that's what it shouldn't be going through your head, but it is. We can't avoid it.
You know what bothers me is how easy it is to watch a video from someone else's perspective, not first person, not even a dash cam perspective, an outside perspective, and be like totally calm in your computer chair, fat, naked, eating Doritos, and be like, this is how the cop should have reacted.
Playing Mario
Like,
Kart to get over that
you're
scary
like-
movie.
You're like, let me tell you how this cop, because of my expert internet. I don't know why I sound like that. My expert internet training, says that he should have reacted like this. It's like you don't really get that opportunity to think. I don't want to say think rationally, but you have to react. If you see a gun, there's a really good video on this one. I'm sure you guys have seen it at this point. But there's a guy he's pulled over. I think it's at a gas station, and he's looking in his car with a light, and he goes, "Is that a real gun?" And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, totally." And he grabs the gun, and the cop's like, "Nope, put that back." He instantly draws, and I was like, he handled it really well because he was like, "Yeah, it's a real gun. Let me show you." But that's not how you react with a cop, by the way.
Why would you do common sense?
I don't know.
Yeah, some people are just so dumb.
Because
Look down the barrel.
but it wasn't a situation where he was trying to shoot the cop. He was like, "Oh yeah, you want to see it?" Because I'm a gun enthusiast. Who knows what this guy's intentions were?
Yeah.
But I'm a gun enthusiast. So it's like someone's like, "Is that a real Glock 19?" You're like, hell yeah, dude, you want to check it out? But that's not how you react with cops. But he handled it really well. But he could have easily been like, bang,
Yeah.
justified. And then you know what the internet would have done? Crucified him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to judge from an outside perspective when you're not in the situation, your adrenaline's not rushing, you don't actually have a gun pointed at you. It's so easy to be like, what the cop should have done is he should have wounded him, which you can't do, by the way. I don't know
Shoot him
why.
in the leg. Shoot him in the big toe.
God fucking damn. That's the worst thing in the world. It's like I used to teach firearm safety, and I used to take classes over at Tulare Group too with my buddy John Lavelle. I'm sure he's in Brunswick. He's a really cool guy. He teaches all the
Warrior poet.
Yeah, warrior poet. And you can't draw your firearm whatever. That's a completely different story. But he kind of goes over like when you can and cannot draw your firearm and stuff like that, and it's just fucking ridiculous.
Well, and see,
it makes
that's
me so mad.
I'm glad you said that, and I'm sure Mike's. I mean, most academies are kind of based around this. If it gets to the point where I have to pull my firearm out and discharge it, it has reached a level of deadly force. It is not trying to incapacitate somebody.
Well,
incapacitation is a taser. Incapacitation is canine, baton, pepper spray.
Cops
if
are
I'm
told
pulling
+1,
out my
right?
gun, it's because it's a life or death situation at that point.
You guys are trained as +1, right?
+1, yeah.
So if someone approaches you with a fist fight, you go to taser because it's to disable.
You always
them.
go one level up.
Yeah. So it's like if someone approaches you with a knife, you go gun.
Yeah.
Like that's how that goes.
Yeah.
I'd be way more scared about it getting killed from a knife than a gun.
Yeah.
Almost
yeah.
any day.
Agreed. Because it's once I don't know, they did some tests about what it takes to stab someone and the emotional, like they say it's way more intense. Like it takes a lot more emotional stress and pain to stab someone than it does to shoot someone because you're disconnected from the
It's much
bang,
more personal.
It's instant.
Yeah.
But to stab someone, it takes physical input
I've
enter
heard
a
it's
knife.
just a whole different story.
So once you start getting someone who's got a knife, it's like there is no they've lost it. They've lost their ability to reconcile. So that's when you had to shoot them. But
21-foot rule.
21 feet.
that's to draw and discharge.
Yeah, there's basically like the rule is if they're within 21 feet, they're going to be able to get to you and impact you with that weapon faster than you can draw and get on target.
You know what a lot of people don't know is that bulletproof vests are not stab proof. People don't know that.
Yeah.
Level 3 Kevlar.
You need to have
Kevlar
have
is
ones
not
that,
stab proof.
that are.
Yeah.
Unless it has ceramic in it. Other than that.
Ceramic is stab proof, and then obviously your level 3 like Armor 500 steel, that's stab proof because it's steel. But
Yeah,
your
anything
soft
solid.
body Kevlar, which is meant for low caliber pistol rounds, like anywhere between 9 and 45, that's not stab proof. A knife will go right through that. Flak jackets, like all that stuff.
That's why they have specifically like stab proof vests for the jails.
So
and
you
stuff.
you always hear is like, oh, he only had a knife. Why did you not shoot? Why did you shoot him? He had a knife, and it's like, that knife can still go through my fucking vest.
He
Like,
sounded like Eminem when he said that.
did I?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, my knees are weak. My
Rap got
palms
him.
are heavy or sweaty.
Mom spaghetti.
Mom spaghetti on my sweater already. Mom spaghetti.
I have been seeing a couple of comments. Do we want to go through and everyone's confused on who's who?
Let's-
I'm
let's-
Officer 401.
Yeah. This is a spin with
Thanks for messing it
Finn.
up.
My buddy is spin with Finn. Do it with Dan.
I'm a
God.
bike
Now we're
enthusiast.
just messing
I'm Yummy
everyone
R6.
up.
And I'm Chase on 2 wieners. No, for real though. We've got my buddy Mike the Cop. I don't know if he's the one in the blue shirt. He's Mike the Cop. Sound off.
Stay golden.
This is Mike the Cop. Do it with Dan. This is me. This is a spin with Finn.
What's up, guys?
And then we got Officer 401. Say something so the people who are going to listen to
I am
it,
Officer 401.
dildos.
This is
So
What
we
is
apologize for the inconvenience.
Check my profile for link.
I haven't even looked at this.
We've been streaming for an
If
hour
anybody's
now. and,
if
like,
anybody's looking for dating for sex, Monica's
Yeah, she's been spamming the chat the whole time.
it's fine. Monica's all about getting that dick.
strawberries. Strawberries.
Oh damn! I thought it was Yammy Noob. But yeah, it's like the what's it called? There's no emotional support for police officers because we're in a very white and black
Yeah.
lifestyle right now.
It's
You're
become
either,
very
you're either
segregated.
you're either a cop or you're against.
Dude, this
cops.
whole country is like tribalized.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, it doesn't matter. Like you see it like in politics, especially, right? People are talking about Trump and Hillary in the comments. It's like so divided. Like it doesn't matter. So if you're on the left, no matter what somebody on the left does, that's justified because they're in your tribe. And it's like both sides have this, so it's
100%.
like, oh, Republicans in a sex scandal, well, it's because of this is why we can justify it. No, he's just a dirtbag that molested kids, so
it doesn't matter, like, because your statistics support either theory if you sway them hard enough. It's like, have you seen the video where the guy goes to a Trump rally with Hillary Clinton quotes and said, "Do you support this?" And all the Trump rallies were like, "Oh fuck yeah, it's Trump. I sure do love Trump." And they're like,
Well,
actually, Hillary Clinton said that. And
Well, they
they're
did
like,
the same with
"Oh,
McCain and Obama.
Yeah, I was going to
years
say
ago.
they did the same thing exactly when they go to Hillary. The same people would go to Hillary Clinton supporting rallies and be like, "All right, Hillary said this," and they'd be like, "Oh, wow, I sure do love Hillary Clinton. Hell yeah, I support that." And then it'd be like, "Trump said it," and they're like, "Oh my god,"
Did I say that? I meant the other one.
I mean, I don't support that. So it's like whatever your political narrative fits your agenda. Who cares? And I don't know how do we get on that topic.
I don't know.
Jake, I love your videos. Just wanted to say,
Oh,
hey.
is Jake the garden dildo in here?
Yeah, he's in
Oh,
here.
what's up, man? How's it going? Oh, there he goes. I am a mom now.
There's an apostrophe in
But yeah, it's like everything politically is so white and black now. It's like you're either or for the police or you're against the police, and it's very true. And I think this is weird that it's very true in the motorcycle community, and Finn can attest to this. It's like you're either for cops or a cop, or you're against cops as bikers. And I'm kind of trying to bridge that gap with this podcast. I know this one small step for man. But
thanks, Armstrong.
it's like you can be a cop and a biker. I know so many biker cops that are or not
there's
even
tons
biker
of
cops.
like
Cops
we
that
were talking
ride.
about that last night. Clubs,
By the way, those cops that ride are always the worst. Those are the guys that are going to do wheelies at 140 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure
And then
they
you're
do.
like
on a
people-
closed course in
Yeah,
Mexico.
yeah.
They're not going to do it
Oh, yeah,
here,
Mexico.
of course.
No, like I've got friends who are like they'll ring out their boosas or whatever to like 180 miles an hour and be like, "Oh, who cares? I'm a cop." And you're like, "You're the reason I didn't become a cop." But
I think what frustrates me most about law enforcement in any type of motorcycle club is that they're always trying. Have you ever noticed they are always trying to mimic the 3-piece patch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to mimic people like that, like outlaw motorcycle clubs?
Right. Yeah. You're
Why?
trying to kind of give that vibe.
And the way it's been described to me is, no, we're our own entity. Like we're the good versus evil. It's like, no, you look like the Mongols. You look ridiculous.
Yeah. You
Well, I
look
think-
ridiculous. I love that.
I think a part of it's still like that bad boy mentality. I think even if you're a cop, there's still a small part of you that wants to rob a bank one day. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm totally like, if I was Walter White, like terminal cancer gonna die, I would fucking go out with a bang.
name.
Oh, like, and that's when you approach me. You're like, I didn't want to intrude on your territory. I was like, get out of my territory. Like I was fucking Walter White of YouTube, but.
No, he wasn't. He
I
was
would-
like, yeah, dude, yeah, go ahead.
Like, yeah, guys, come on, man, more YouTube views. Let's all be together in France.
Actually, that fat guy in your old intro,
That fat guy.
I told you about the guy that does the.
He's lost weight
Brazilian
now,
jiu-jitsu.
by the way, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, he lost a pound in the last 5 years.
Jesus Christ.
But no, like the
Fired.
the good one, the nice one I was telling you about that did the BJJ. The
you're
one
not
that
talking about
joined
the other
him.
one that was
no,
like,
I'm talking about the
I'd
other
rob
one.
a real bike, a Harley.
That one.
Kill yourself.
He's in one of those 3-piece patch type of clubs.
Of course he
It
is.
just like gets to his head. Like I don't know. Everybody I've met that wears a 3-piece patch that's in law enforcement has some sort of ego about them.
Yeah.
It just for what? Like what do you have to prove?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would rather just like meet up with guys like you and just go ride
Yeah,
than
exactly.
I would try to do it with just a bunch of other cops.
No, it sucks. And like I said, the cops are always the worst. Man. They're always the ones. They're always blowing the red lights. I grew up with one of my best friends ever. You guys know him. His name is Zach. Both of his parents were cops, and we used to get away with like the most ridiculous shit. One day he comes to me. He's like, "Dude, you want to do PCP?" I'm like 16.
What?
I'm like, yeah.
That escalated quickly.
Hey, you want to do crack?
It was like
One day you like cut school early. The next day you're like, hey, PCP, okay. Yeah. We got away with the school thing.
So obviously, as a 16
Want to
year
do
old,
weed? That's weak.
as a 16-year-old, I didn't know what PCP was, so I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, let's do PCP." And by the way, let me go and disclaim that it wasn't PCP. So
Was it Flocka or whatever?
it was
Zach to bring the fake drugs.
Yeah, it was a pill.
3
this
days
big,
later.
a soft pill, a soft white pill this big. And he splits it in half. He's like, "Here you go." And I was like, I didn't even know PCP came in a pill form. I don't know what PCP is, but I'm like playing it off. We popped some fucking PCP. It wasn't PCP. It was animal tranquilizer or horse tranquilizer.
Ketamine.
Special
Oh
ketamine.
my God.
I pulled that out of some guy's pocket one night. Like I was like, what is this? It looked like, something. But I was
Yeah.
like, he's like, it's ketamine. I'm like, ketamine? I was like, I literally got my phone out, looked it up. It's like horse tranquilizer. I'm like, man, you really need some hard stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Times are rough.
Me being the 16-year-old, I didn't know what PCP was. His parents were on 72-hour shifts, so no one was home. So we're on his couch, and then we fucking chew this little soft pill up. We split it in half, and about 30 minutes later, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't really feel anything. And he's like, yeah, man, me neither. And then I was like 25 minutes later after that, I was like, I'm kind of tired. And he goes, yeah, me too.
Slept for the next
Dude,
3
we
days.
fucking were in and out of consciousness for about 22 hours, I think 24 hours.
shit.
We're sitting on his couch. I shit myself because I was like, I couldn't move.
Man.
I physically couldn't move. I'm sitting on this couch like we're watching Ed and Nettie reruns, by the way, so I know every episode. And I'm like on this dude's couch. I've shit myself and I can't move. I'm like in and out of consciousness. So after about 20 hours, it's the next day, and I finally get up. I look over and Zach's on the couch. It's fucked up because it's his real name. And there's a small trail of urine off of the couch into the kitchen, and I walk around the corner still stumbling, and I'm like, dude, I feel like I've taken a bunch of sleep medicine, a bunch of Ambien, and I walk in and he's passed out on the floor, half-ass naked with shit running down his leg, and the refrigerator door is just wide open.
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
All that
Well,
And you still
food
had shit in
ruined.
your pants.
Yeah. Oh, I was still shitty, and I ended up just taking it's like the third or fourth time I'd shit myself at this time, but
Someone just said that in chat. Said this seems like a recurring thing.
yeah, it's consistent with me.
This is the first I'm hearing
And,
that. I don't know if I want to hear
So
the rest of the stories.
we
Got
looked it
date
up.
raped.
We looked up what we took because it had numbers on it or something. We looked up what we took and we found out what it was. We were 2 milligrams away from killing ourselves.
Jesus Christ.
It's we took a lethal dose.
That's pot all the day, guys. If y'all have to do something illegal, smoke pot.
Yeah,
If you have to.
and that's when I
Smoke
was like,
weed every
maybe I
day.
should figure out what drugs I'm taking before I take them. Is kind of what the
Probably a
moral of
good
the story
idea.
is. But I was like, it was probably the worst experience of my life. And
Yikes.
Also, Levi Rowe, you're saying you're buying the CBR 1000. I literally wrote that here today. I don't know who you are, but
yeah, hit him up.
Hey, hit me up. You can buy it all day long.
How many people were watching?
I don't know. Where's the number?
I can't. I don't know. If I had my phone on me, I could
Someone in
pull it
chat
up,
say
but-
how many people are watching right now.
Yeah. If I had to guess, it's probably a couple hundred people. But
2.
anyway,
Oh, seven
it
of us.
was ended up being it ended up being Special K or ketamine, and I was like, maybe I should really research what I do now.
Seriously.
That'd be a good idea.
Oh, thanks, bud. 2,400 people.
Oh, cool.
So
Wow,
that's
nice.
a lot more people than I thought would be watching.
What is up,
That's awesome.
everyone?
No, look at all those numbers.
Yeah.
Look at all those numbers.
everybody's-
2,400.
I feel like I'm in the
people are now-
Matrix right now.
2,400 people are now telling
How much
you.
for the CBR? Guys,
2,400, the same amount of viewers.
Way too much.
You should sell the CBR and get an FZ07 or something.
I do kind of regret selling the FZ.
You should have kept the FZ07 as a rag ass stunt bike.
Really, really should have, and I do regret it. If honestly, I'm having some issues with WoW with the title and stuff, and I
Sounds
wish
like titles are a real big problem down here.
Dude, it's really hard. I
man.
got the title for my FZ07 in 2016, and I never looked at the title because I don't know. And I went to sell it, and it said it was like a 1980. I was like, how did this? So I go to change it, and I can't get the title in, and I've been waiting for months. And it's
I know
this
the guy
whole
who
ordeal.
I know the guy who bought it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
He
friend of
messaged
mine that
me on
goes to
Instagram.
he's a friend of mine that goes to the gym. He's like, I actually bought a Finn's bike. As I was looking at it, and I bought it, and then I go, did this bike belong to anybody? That's how he talks. And I was like,
He talks like an Irish guy on a cereal box.
yeah. Oh, look at my Lucky Charms. Fucking yeah.
Whose bike do we have here?
Whose bike do we have here?
Dude,
that way too
good. Seriously.
Is Mike the
First
Cop
time.
Irish? Fucking
Maybe.
Yeah. And dude, speaking of Lucky Charms, no, this is not a drug story. I have a whole bag of just Lucky Charms marshmallows in my bedroom.
I saw those.
Well, that's what
news
we
show
all
that
do.
Yeah,
had
he
so
gave
many
me.
questions. I was like,
I wish I
why?
could be 25 again.
You can just buy them. You can just go on eBay and they there's guys who literally buy boxes and boxes of Lucky Charms just to pick up the marshmallows. And I guess they just throw the rest
I've
of it
been
away.
curious. I love the sauce on the blue Doritos. Do you think they sell just the
sauce?
sauce in
Just-
like a dip
you-
jar?
Just
mean
the
Like
Cool
this-
Ranch
You
stuff?
mean ranch?
No,
Cool Ranch.
It's ranch.
It is so different from ranch. It's not
it's
even
literally
funny.
just ranch.
Cool Ranch powder in a bag.
Go to the
Yeah, that'd be
condiments
cool.
aisle
Lucky
at any of your
Charms.
grocery store.
On
Find the
marshmallows.
ranch
It's so-
packets.
it's so
just find the
different.
ranch packets and then pour it on a thing of regular Doritos. You won't be able to.
It sounds like what would really happen is if we all really hung out for long enough, we'd all speed on motorcycles, come home, watch a scary movie, play Mario Kart, take
Masturbate.
ketamine, and put Cool Ranch Dorito powder on Lucky Charms marshmallows and pass out.
every
That sounds like
Wednesday.
either the
Average
best
Friday night, yeah.
either the best or the worst afternoon I've ever had in my life.
Depending on
either
how
way.
much ketamine we take.
There's no gray area with that. It's either really cool or it's really terrible.
Speaking of speeding on motorcycles, let's go and clarify something. I had a handful of comments on the video that we all made yesterday saying, "Oh yeah, well cops get to endorse speeding here, but then they arrest me for speeding. Oh, hypocrisy."
No one is arrested for speeding. That's not even a thing. Is that a thing in Georgia?
Yeah,
super
yeah,
speeder,
yeah,
yeah,
super
25
speeder.
over.
Georgia has a law called super speeder. So if you're going
Did I
more
have
than
super speeder in Detroit?
no,
The only thing you could get arrested for
Let
is
me-
reckless driving.
let me
which
just
you have
move.
to be purposely driving.
well, we
in a
have
way that
reckless
would-
driving
yeah.
too. This is separate. So if you're going 75 or more on a 2-lane road or 85 or more anywhere in the state, you qualify for super speeder.
Which is basically 20 over.
So super speeder is basically like $200 on top of your original fine,
And it's more
plus
points.
6 license
sucks.
points on your license.
Luckily,
I
I got
have
that
one of
dropped
those.
And
whenever I got pulled over.
You don't automatically arrest. You just write a
No,
summons to
they
appear,
will.
or they.
They-
I think it's up to the
They
cop's
can
discretion.
It's
impound,
not
they can-
common to
You can
get
arrest
locked
for
up
going
for.
11 over.
It's the officer's discretion.
It's really we can arrest for anything, I think, except for a
Remind me
seatbelt.
not to come to Georgia.
Now what they just did in Atlanta, right? They
that?
they actually just decriminalized the possession. I think of is it an ounce? That's a lot.
Anything
right?
less than-
anything less than an ounce.
An ounce is 16 grams.
Yeah, anything less than an ounce is a $75
Guys,
ticket.
let me clarify. It's a lot more than 16.
Is it 32?
It's like 20.
He would
24.
know. He would know.
Oh, shit,
28. Sorry, I've been on
It's been a
probation
while
for
since I've been in the
I
game.
don't use the
it's been a
metrics
while
in
since
the
I've been
game.
training.
Is that why you brought your scale? I don't understand. Did I leave my crack scale with you?
One or two.
I call it my crack scale. I use it for measuring tannerite for explosives, but
I don't know.
I'm sure it's
I thought
a
that was a joke,
multi-purpose.
but I
That's
haven't
what kids are calling it these days. Tannerite.
it's only in Atlanta, but it's a $75 fine, no jail time.
The entire chat, 28 grams, guys.
28.6 grams.
That's
we're all
real
wearing-
specific.
So we
28.6.
could go through here and see all the stoners.
Yeah. Can I collect your personal information?
Hey, just
your
sit tight. The
addresses,
cops
your
are on their
license
way
number?
right
Yeah.
now.
There's a guy in here named Yellow Porsche Driver.
Dispatching it now.
Yellow Porsche Driver.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
I'm never going to Georgia. Yeah, me either again, Steven. Dude, that's nuts to me.
Is
Yeah, super
is,
speeder is a thing.
Is
man.
weed decriminalized in Detroit?
I think the city of Detroit has actually basically turned it into such a minor thing that they don't mess with it under a certain amount. I don't even know what it is, but we have the medical marijuana law, and so if you have your medical card, then you can possess 2.5 ounces as long as you're transporting it correctly.
How many is that, Finn?
What's that?
How many is that, Finn?
I wasn't listening.
Grams?
2.5 ounces.
2.5
Trans-
ounces. It's gonna be 28 times 2. And then
2.5
after
ounces is
that-
a good amount of weed.
It's like what, 60 something?
It's according to simple math. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you can tell that they're all cops.
Where's your
because
abacus?
They can't math at all.
Yeah. I didn't get the math gene from the Asian gene.
Now, let me ask you guys this, since we got a bunch of cops here. Is there any lies that you tell people when you give them tickets that make them feel better that ultimately fucks them over? Because I've had people be like, "Oh yeah, it's only gonna be 2 points, bam, 7 points or some shit like that."
No,
Like,
I
I've
don't
never-
tell direct lies like
I've
that.
never
There
lied
are
like that.
certain things. I'm sorry.
No.
I totally cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But there are certain things that we do. Like if I'm stopping somebody for speeding, if it's 15 miles an hour or more in Georgia, you get 2 points. So I think it's 15 to 19. From 20 to 24, I think it's 3 points, and then I think it's in 5 mile an hour increments.
breaking news: cops can't math.
Yeah, no shit. So,
Well, with the
usually-
5 of us sitting here, we should be able to figure something out.
So usually if I stop somebody, like I won't pull somebody over for speeding unless they're going at least 15 over. If 15 over is kind of my threshold. But legally, a lot of people don't know this. I'm sure I'm going to get shit from other cops in Georgia from this.
Exposed. Officer 401.
County and city cops cannot issue you a citation in Georgia unless you're going 11 or more over. State Patrol is the only agency that can give you a ticket for 10 or below.
Georgia is weird, man.
Yeah, Georgia's fucked.
What?
We can stop you. It's still probable cause for a stop, but we cannot issue a citation for that.
Yeah, because
What?
so
Once
10,
it's 11 over, then we
10
can
under.
issue.
10 under.
Yep.
That's right. I remember looking that up when I was
State
when
Patrol is
yeah.
different. We can stop. They can stop you for 1.
They can stop you for 1 over. Eat a dick, first of all.
And State Patrol does not have to offer you an accuracy check on their radar device.
I can't imagine.
Well, I don't have to
being
offer
pulled
that
over.
either.
Can
Ever
you
do.
can you imagine
In court,
looking at a
yes.
fucking cop in the
They could-
face,
they could
a
subpoena
pig, a police officer in the face and being like, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And he's like, "Yeah, 1 over," and you're like, "Kill yourself." I just can't imagine looking at a cop and being like, "I pulled you for 1 over." I'd be like, "Must be a slow day." Like, that's ridiculous. 1 over.
I don't know if you saw the
Never-
sign back there that said 35. You're like, yeah, I thought I was going like 36. Exactly.
Exactly.
My,
young man.
My tires are big enough.
That's an admission of guilt.
Slow it down.
That's what I needed. It's all right here on my body cam.
Yeah. It's like my tires are big enough on my car and my truck to the point where 25 could be 26.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
exactly.
I don't know what to tell you.
My threshold has
Should've
always
gotten
been
smaller
like
tires.
I
if it's
drive
10 or
12
more.
over on my way home to Brunswick every time. 12 over, and I never get a second look by Georgia State Patrol. They're like, we got way better things to do.
I've
than
been
you."
seeing them
most
a
people
lot
are.
less lately. I don't know what it is.
think
But
it's
like I used to
season.
see them a lot, and yeah, lately haven't been seeing much of them whatsoever.
Well, to answer your question, like usually I won't stop people unless. Are you getting refills?
Yeah.
I'm already seeing
I've been
2 of
waiting for
everyone
that.
here, so let me see 3.
No. We're doing refills. By the way, people have been asking, what are we drinking? We're drinking
Piss.
right now
I
Crown
saw that a
Apple.
lot.
Crown Apple. and-
Everyone's like, "Are y'all drinking piss?"
Crown should be sponsoring this.
Yeah, Crown Royal.
Crown and Red Bull.
I apologize for the microphone noises.
That's another weed thing, right? You see a Crown Royal bag in a car.
Whose drink is what?
Or air fresheners.
Oh, you
This one's
fucked up.
mine. This one's yours.
That
That's why I
one's-
bring
that
my
one's
own
Mike's.
cup.
This one's yours?
Isn't that one Mike's? Or was yours empty?
No, this one's Mike's. This one's yours, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, this one's mine.
It doesn't
We're all
matter.
gonna get AIDS. It's fine.
It's the 80s.
You know, Atlanta's like second or third for AIDS in the whole world.
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard that. That's discouraging.
Turns
to
out
go
like
there.
AIDS was never really a problem.
AIDS
Have
was
you-
never really a problem.
I'm serious.
California-
Statistically.
Everyone that
California
has AIDS.
just decriminalized giving someone AIDS on purpose.
I know that's ridiculous. That's
What?
ridiculous.
Who passed that? Someone with AIDS? They're like, I haven't been getting enough booty. I gotta pass a law.
Share the love.
I need more ass.
How do you take that to court and be like, I mean, she got a booty though, and then they're like, "What's
Well,
up, AIDS?"
the judge is like, you got a point.
She should have asked first.
Man.
It's like, by the way, I have AIDS, and they're like, "What?" Ah, well, bust a nut. Who cares? Jesus Christ.
I got mine.
I got mine. Yeah, right. That's how life is, man. You get yours and then you leave. That's why
People are still answering this 28 grams. Like Jake is like, wait, Jake has smoked 28 grams if he's just now answering that question.
Jake is like the Internet Explorer of web browsers.
Yes, it's just coming through.
28 minutes later, it's 28 grams.
What do we want? Faster speeds. When do we want it now? When are we gonna do it? Faster speeds.
2017,
What was that? The thing you put on the cooking video? 2 shots.
2 shots, and it was like glug 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 glug. All right.
That was good.
I'm
Stuff.
gonna be ready for a cheeseburger after this.
Oh,
I
dude,
can go
I'm
for
so
cheeseburger.
hungry.
And we're
it's not
taking
even
Uber
funny.
because we don't.
Let's keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Oh man.
Anyway, I'd love to ride bikes with you guys and hang out. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
I'm always down to ride.
bike?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
lying?
No, I have.
Okay.
It was that one with the big front wheel and then like the little
The-
tiny wheel.
Yeah, back when
The
they
biggest-
were in
the biggest sport
1982
bike
when
I
they
ever
had the
had.
original bicycle.
I feel awkward as I got rid of my sport bike at age 40 because I felt like that was a cutoff. But it was a 500 CBR 500.
That's not a sport bike.
Well, it's
Really?
not.
You
It's,
got rid of
it's
it
not
at your
used.
age?
Yeah, my sport bike. You know, my Ninja 250.
Hey, listen, that was the closest thing I ever had to anything that you guys ride.
Yeah. I actually just did a review on a CB 250, or I'm sorry, a CB 500X, which is the same engine, the same platform.
Yeah, you didn't dog on
But
it too bad on the video. I
tried.
watched it.
No, you didn't. I haven't uploaded it yet.
You
Michael Eyes 2017.
you did a video about CBR.
I watch every video.
I know I've done plenty of
with the
them. but-
500.
No, not the 500 yet. But anyway, it's a CB 250. Or I'm sorry, I might have done one on a CB 500, but not a CB 500X, which is their sport touring version. Upright handlebars, big windscreen. It's
yeah,
set up
no.
for off-road stuff.
I've never ridden one.
Yeah,
of those.
that's probably what you're getting confused at.
I'm
but,
excited for the BMW that you just rode. That
dude,
thing is so cool.
I'm gonna upload that tomorrow, I think.
That bike is really cool. I've had my eye on
Rich
that.
on super chats. You should play PUBG with me, or I'll shit in your driveway.
For 50 sec,
That's an
not
old
worth
story. I don't think I've talked about the shit in the driveway thing. It comes from a joke back when
That was an old one.
very old one. Me and my friends used to get drunk in his basement, and we used to party and just fight. That's all we did was party and fight. And my neighbor, or not my neighbor, his neighbor, yeah, right. he would just always complain about the noise because it'd be like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We'd be shit faced at 15. And and he'd come out and be like, "Oh, you damn kids," you know. And one night, you know, I have the most sensitive stomach in the world, I think. I went up to his house after him shouting at us, and I stood on his car and shit on his windshield. all over his
You actually did that.
No, full blown.
I didn't know this was an
diarrhea.
actual thing. I've heard the joke
This is a
100
true
times.
fucking story.
I didn't know
Shat
that.
all over this dude's windshield. Pulled my pants down drunkenly. Stood on his hood and shat on his windshield.
So, are you saying it's a no wiper?
No, he had to use his
25
wipers.
again.
No, I meant for you.
And no, I didn't wipe. I ruined those underwear, I'm sure.
Jesus Christ.
And 401 to refill. You want another drink, man? I thought I was making you one.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, of
Well,
course.
well, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to step out.
Everybody's
for a
like,
second,
"You're
dude.
a
I gotta
dick."
pee,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah.
Real quick.
Take a break. So anyway, like 2 days later,
Take the microphone with you.
Yeah, take the microphone with you.
Into the bathroom.
Literally,
guys, what-
2 days later, there was a for sale sign in front of his house. Yeah, so I shit on someone's drive. The whole joke came from I'll shit on your driveway from a John Caparulo joke, who's my favorite comedian at the time, still is actually. But I always said like I'll follow you home and shit in your driveway if you cut me off. But it actually originated from me shitting on someone's windshield of their car.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible story.
We
I
Mommy
feel
not
like
to
I could
piss
be really
them off.
drunk and that wouldn't
even
happen.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Then you must have a mature thought process. Remember, I
I'm
was like
holding
16.
back right now. I'm holding back from something really embarrassing.
Oh no.
Oh,
Let it
well,
out.
why
Should
hold
I
back?
share it?
Let it out.
This is a safe place.
This is a safe place for us snowflakes.
This is the circle of trust.
picture that little
You're
yellow sign.
you're in here. Wait.
So-
No, I don't know. It's
All
gotta
right,
be.
so
It's gotta be your bowl.
Weird little random fact. I can't shit without taking a shower after. I have to shower, dude. Like I have to
Seriously?
take a full shower.
Did you
The only time I've
shit in
had
my
to
bathroom
break
after you took a shower? Or before? You fucking asshole.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
but I
It
flushed
makes
in
sense.
increments.
Yeah. Please do. That toilet sucks, by the way.
Does it? Well,
Yeah, it'll get
glad to
clogged
know
up.
that now.
I'm sure I'll be dealing with that tomorrow.
But yeah, the only time I've ever had to break that was the military. That was the only time where I didn't have a choice. It was like shit and then get back in the field. But
Right.
other than that, I have to take a full shower,
Or they
which is why I shower like 3 or 4 times a day.
I think it's
I have the cleanest ass in Georgia. I'm sure.
I don't know if my
This is not an invitation for anything like sexual or crazy, but yeah.
I think there's a fetish following that, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm
some
not a
people
part of it.
can't take a shit with their pants on or clothes on. They have to strip down.
I do that for fun.
Oh yeah, I can't do that either.
This is yours.
Appreciate it. But
I'm
have to at
I'm gonna
work.
I'm going to tag out and do the same thing.
I try so hard at work to not have to take a shit, but I mean it's almost unavoidable in a 12-hour shift when you do that. But
yeah, like if
it's
you're not allowed to go home, that's another thing.
So did y'all
Yeah.
say what y'all do? What? I've always been curious. Do you just stop by a gas station and
oh,
do your
I,
stuff?
I go home. I drive home.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to at least the last 5 years my dad lived where I worked, so I could always just go to his house if I needed that, or the locker room. The locker room at work was like,
No, I
you know,
can't do it.
some
It's like
some
too many
office,
cop
some
balls
sort of
on the toilet bowl. Like, there's no way. I can't
Some
do
sort of
when you sit
safety.
down and like somebody else's pube is like sticking out like that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
but it's like a guarantee as soon as you sit down, like you're gonna get a call and. Ugh, it's
Oh, I'll
terrible.
tell dispatch I'm 10-6, which means down here it means busy.
Yeah, but like we were so short staffed, it didn't even like I could tag out for the same thing. Like I could put myself out on like comfort break, AKA Code Brown.
They have comfort
CB,
breaks in,
like
in Michigan.
Code
There's an
Code
actual
Brown,
code for it.
and then so like you put yourself on your CB, and like everybody knows what that means. Like and you had to put a location too, right? So it's like locker room. Everybody knows you're in the locker room.
you're
taking
taking a
right?
shit.
Yeah.
So like everybody will step
That was
up
the
if they're
fastest
not
piss ever.
assholes and take your calls, and like pick up the slack while you're taking care of
200?
business. And then, but sometimes like if there was only 3 guys on the road and an armed robbery call came out and you're the one on the shitter, well, it's
Pinch
time to
it
wrap.
off
It's
and
time to
run.
wrap it up,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
gotta go.
No wiper.
What happens if you're full-fledged, like, I cannot stop shitting?
I mean, you just got to deal with it. You
Shit
stand
your
up,
pants- shit your pants and
stand
run.
up, and get messy. And
I probably have the most sensitive stomach in the world. I either have colon cancer or IBS. I haven't decided which yet.
Maybe both.
don't look at WebMD.
Maybe
whatever
colon
you do.
IBS.
This is just both.
Yeah, WebMD. It's like you either have the common cold or you have brain cancer, and you're gonna die in 2 days.
It's like I remember looking up some symptoms that I had one time on WebMD and being like, "Oh no, I have ovarian cancer." Like,
I have all the symptoms of ovarian cancer.
my ovaries. And yeah, so I didn't have ovary. I don't have ovaries.
I don't have ovaries.
Just thank God. Yeah, do it lesbian.
Turns out I don't have ovaries. Went to the
Yeah.
doctor.
Which I thought it was genetic too, because my grandmother passed away of ovarian cancer, and I was like, it's genetic. Fucking Christ, man.
I feel really awkward laughing at that.
And it's
you
a
know,
weird joke.
whatever.
It's a
Yeah, it
weird
is a weird
joke
joke.
because
It's
I
kinda
loved her
dark.
very dearly. So
Dark humor's all right.
God
you
bless
piece
her
of
soul.
shit. You piece of shit.
I only have one left. I'm gonna go see her after
One
Christmas.
ovarian left.
One ovary.
Ovarian.
Ovarian.
One ovarian.
May I see an impression of your
Sounds like a
vulva
cool
and butter?
race of people in a role playing game. The ovarians.
There's 20 ovarians left in the village.
The lesbian village.
Level up ovarian plus 8,000.
Dude, when I saw that clip of you being like, she's pretty hot for a lesbian, I was like, you fucker.
Oh, dude.
It was so great, dude.
You
because
watched me watch it. I
was like,
cracking up.
I mean, that's
Mike
an
asked
instant
me.
classic. I was like, do you know what you're gonna? Do you have something to say? And he looks. He's
thought
like,
about it.
Waffle stomp.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
like-
I know exactly what I'm going to
And
say.
they rolled up the window so I couldn't yell at him afterwards. She's like, she's pretty hot for a lesbian. I was sitting there right next to him going, I wonder what they're saying.
That's why I wanted to roll up the window. It's not because we had sun issues.
Oh, yeah, what I wanted to say earlier.
I'm a level 19 ovarian princess.
Ovarian princess. It's like, I just want to let everyone know that video was done in a controlled environment with adult supervision. So it wasn't
I didn't
officers.
just ride
adult
in on that
supervision.
road and
It-
was under.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
this looks very familiar.
That totally isn't 10 minutes away from my house.
We weren't even there. We were photoshopped
It was
in
yeah.
the video.
Everyone doesn't know about my green screen in the garage where I record all my
Exactly.
videos.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't real. It
All
wasn't.
speeds are similar.
You had
Yeah, Photoshop does
you had the
videos.
bike up on blocks actually, like
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the garage, just like running the.
So it was funny, man. When I lived in Brunswick, every cop just about knew who I was or was aware of my YouTube presence, but no one ever pursued it. No one ever came to my house and was like, "You're under arrest for these YouTube videos and stuff like that." And I think, because I had a really good lawyer at the time, he's like, "There's always plausible deniability." But what is to stop a cop or a department, for instance, from seeing my videos where I go 180 miles an hour on public roads, quote unquote, not in Mexico, and being like, here's a warrant out for your arrest? I mean, is it just the work effort that it takes, or it's
Honestly,
just not worth it? Or
well, that's a good question. It's like it's not so much a matter of what would it take to do it. It's more of like, why would you do it?
Yeah.
Like we have so much more shit to be worrying about, and I told you about like all the drive-bys that we've been having where I live.
seems a little bit more important. I won't lie.
So like last week, I worked a 19-hour day, a 14-hour day, 2 13-hour days, and another 14-hour day. I'm not worried about some dude on a bike that's going 120 miles an hour. I'm not.
What
Like,
about
we have people
180?
getting shot. Like a bullet went like 8 inches over a kid's head. Like I'm not worried about a biker.
Now,
There's
let me ask you
bigger
about
stuff to
that.
worry about.
You said that number twice now. I have to wonder, did she measure it? How did she,
Oh yeah, we measure the crime scenes, dude.
like? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
How intelligent? Like, because you're no longer you're no longer a beat cop now. You're
He's
you're
a super cop now.
He's a super cop, aka
He's a real cop.
Special powers.
Do you get a sleek looking Charger with a it's got the black wheels but the center caps are colored
No.
or whatever?
You
now,
should,
and then
your
have a
your new
flashlight on
intro
it?
for YouTube should be like
Everybody's been
the
asking me
CSI
to-
Miami, like where the glasses come off. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, see,
The,
everybody's
the
been trying to
subject
figure
was
out, like,
raped
what
in her
I
ear.
drive.
I guess she didn't hear the subject coming.
I can't. No, I drive a Ford Fusion. That's it. That's what it is. It's a Ford Fusion.
Yeah, like
You're
what's the
perfect
difference
on
between a
Blood
patrol cop and what you do?
No wonder why you
I
don't
drive a
chase
Ford
I don't know. It
Fusion.
came with a box of tampons. I'm not sure.
I feel like I'm driving inside of a giant vagina.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
Did you just run a Prius through a crime scene?
Now, how do cops feel about cop movies? Like him and I watched Chips the other day, which is the cop
Fucking
biker movie.
awesome.
Oh, I haven't
Awesome
seen
movie.
Chips.
Obviously,
Total.
way over the top. Would
Yeah.
never go. You always see these cop movies where it's like, give me your badge and your gun. You off the force. And you know what they do? They give them the badge and the gun, and then they still go back to work. Like how unrealistic is that?
vigilante.
Here's your rape whistle.
How against the law is that? Let me ask
well,
you
we
that.
issue a warrant for your arrest. Doing your job. Yeah, that's called false imprisonment.
What do you think the
Vigilante.
most realistic cop movie is that you've ever seen?
The most
The Police Academy.
With the girl that's like,
Excuse me.
And then there's always that guy. He's making I can't remember his name, but he's always making police noises.
Winslow is his
Yeah.
real name,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But I can't remember his
Hot,
character
hot
name.
Fuzz.
Think of any
Yeah,
new,
totally.
like-
Hot Fuzz is awesome.
That's the biggest thing. If
Maybe
a
for
movie
British
was
police
made
officers.
to be realistic
It'd be boring.
off of our job, nobody would watch it. It would get 3 views at box office.
I think End of Watch.
And it'd be the cops that were in the movie.
Good point. No,
End
end,
of-
of watch.
End of Watch was the most realistic cop
Yeah.
movie I've
That
ever
was a
seen.
great movie.
and
Especially the opening,
And
the
it was
chase scene.
it was still like Hollywood, right? I mean, it's still a movie, and
Yeah.
it moved much faster than reality does. But
That's
the
theatrical.
interaction between the partners and like sort of like the banter back and forth and the mentality of cops, like It was pretty spot on.
Yeah,
Is that the movie where it's got that big ginger guy?
Big
The same
No,
guy from The Walking Dead.
That's
where-
Southland, the
Southland?
TV show.
That looks.
Which is also the most realistic TV cop show I've ever seen.
I've seen clips of that where like the kid calls the cops on his mom for giving him a spanking,
Yes.
and he's all like, "Fucking nut up or shut up" or something
Yes.
like that. And he's like, "You called the cops again? I'm gonna come over here and kick your ass."
Yeah.
That's the same guy from Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
The
I can't remember his name, but yeah,
ginger guy?
he was the
I
FTO,
met that guy
the field
actually
training
when
guy.
I was on the Walking Dead. But
Then got blown up.
Yeah.
Wait, you were on The Walking Dead?
yeah, then
Yeah.
I died.
Very short.
Let me just
Very
work
short.
that into a conversation so everyone here knows that I was on The Walking Dead.
He was on a motorcycle.
Do you have your SAG card?
My what?
Someone
I
doesn't
have
walk
Screen
The
Actors
Walking
Guild.
Dead.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't get any of that. We got
Oh.
a piece of paper that said that we would not talk about the show, otherwise we would get sued on our. There was a very rude NDA that I signed, and I can talk about the NDA because the NDA is an NDA. But it was like yes, we will sue you for $200,000 on your $95,000 a year salary, and I was like, wow. What a nice assumption that I make $95,000
I'm out
a
of
year.
here.
That was when I was in college. I was like, that's really nice of you to assume that I make that much money.
I spent that much on my ambulance ride when I
Take me
took
17
the skin off
years
my
to pay
hands.
that off.
I was like, yeah, sue me for my medical bills, thanks. That I'm still paying off. Oh man. But no, Hot Fuzz is nowhere near. Well, I don't know about British cops. I think they have completely different regulations.
Different
Has
game.
one- Yeah.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want except for shoot people because they don't have guns.
They do, though. That's the misconception. They have armed units available to respond to everything.
Well, like
In
a
Britain.
SWAT force or like.
Yeah, so like this is actually a really interesting topic to me. You guys would probably be like, "Oh, this guy's a fucking idiot. This is boring."
Nerd.
there was
Lame.
2,000 people. It's like 300 now. Like, oh boy, he's gonna talk about this.
Oh,
Like,
British cops! All right,
British
let's go,
cops.
Let's go
But
fuck off
somebody's
a little
like
bit.
talking about always like we should be like British cops because they don't shoot people because they don't have guns. So cops wouldn't have to kill so many people if we just banned guns and cops didn't carry guns. But they do have armed units. Dude, Great Britain is like a completely different ballgame than here. They're so tightly compacted, like per capita, as far as like when people are in London, for example, there's so many people crammed into a small space. It'd be like New York through the whole, main parts of the country. And they have, I think it's like a 5 or 6 minute response time for any armed unit to get somewhere. So like if there is a situation where, things are heating up, they'll move that, they'll call that response unit over there. So even though like your typical beat cops don't carry guns, they do have weapons, and so
Totally defenseless.
Jacks.
they're there. Yeah.
Now, I've got a good question for you guys because we have both a cop from the south and a cop from the north on completely different locations because you're from Detroit and you're from a location that I will not disclose. But you have
Patrolling parts mildly unknown.
but from the south. So where we come from in here in little southern Georgia,
Where we come from, boy.
I'm from
There's-
Dang old
Texas. I don't know
Georgia.
where-
so we believe in gun control and high blood pressure, right? So I want to know
Bacon
your
and
opinion
bullets.
on civilians owning a lot of guns to protect their property, and I want to know your opinion on civilians owning a lot of guns to protect their property.
I want law-abiding Americans to own as many guns as they can afford.
Fuck yeah,
And I want them to carry them
America.
concealed. I want them to carry them open. I want them to carry them, have them, and use them when needed.
So on that note,
Hell
how
yeah,
uncomfortable
brother.
are you if someone is just carrying and you're
Not-
talking not at all?
Not even a little.
Not even a little
If you're
bit.
not pointing
because
it at
the
me,
people-
why do I have to be uncomfortable?
I can
Here's
get
the
that
thing:
on
it's the
me.
people who are open carrying that are not doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
A criminal's not going to open.
Now,
carry a
there's
Glock
open carry
23.
douchebags that are just
yeah,
trying
true.
to get
Yeah,
views,
I've
right?
seen the videos.
They're just trying to egg people on, and I don't
Have you ever
support that.
responded to that?
I do, yeah.
Is it just as cringy as it looks
It's
like
cringe,
on YouTube?
man. You sit there and you're just like, you guys are idiots. Why are we even like? I don't even want to respond to
Are
that.
you detaining me,
you,
sir?
You have
so,
to respond.
So on this note, that is something I wanted to bring up. The whole cop block, the whole thing. Have y'all experienced that? How do
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
feel when you're being filmed? And like, I understand
play-
there's a
I
difference
play to
between if you're filming and if
I
you're
tried
like,
to be cool
I
about
know
it
the
once.
law.
As in, like, you play to the ignorant cop.
no,
Are you-
I just play to the fact that they're recording me.
Okay.
I'd be like, yeah, well, you're being recorded.
Check me
too.
out on
Funny-
YouTube. It's
funny
Mike
thing.
the Cop.
I tried to be a smartass. I was like, just get my good side.
Am I
And I
being
thought they were
detained?
going to be speechless. He's like, there is no good side to a fucking pig. I was like, well, have a good day.
All right.
Okay.
I'd pull my pants down.
Very
as I walked away.
respectable, because that is something I was curious about. Because I mean, a lot of the videos you do see, either a
Cringy.
cop will pull out the phone and they'll
I've
start-
had like people like one stands out of my mind where I pulled this guy over for like blowing a red light, and pulled him over, and it happens to be a black dude, and he's like, I said, hey, Mike the cop here, stopped you for blowing the red light back there. He's like, I know why you really pulled me over, and he's got his camera out. And I'm like, because you ran the red light, like I told you. He's like, no, that's not the real reason. I'm like, what's the real reason? He's like, I'm like, are you insinuating a racial thing? He's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So I pull out my microphone. I said, everything is recorded audio, and I have video of you running the red light. So I just want you to go on record again. Will you say from my microphone that I pulled you over because you're black?
See, I can do that.
And he's like, just write me the ticket. I'm like, okay.
Damn it. You
go back to the car, write the ticket.
You know what I would do to piss him off? I'd give him a warning. I'd be like, fuck you, here's a warning. I think
have a great day, sir.
Have you seen the video of that dude where he gets pulled over? He's like, officer, I gotta admit, she had a fat ass. I wasn't paying attention while I was running the red light. And the cop's like, he's like, word, dude, yeah, I get that, man. Fat asses, whatever. Have a good day, man. And as soon as the cop leaves, the guy's like, fuck the police. I was like, man, come on, dude. You just got let off so easy.
I let somebody out. He's like, I got the bubble gut. I got the bubble gut.
That's the thing. Like
later,
there are going to be certain people in our line of work that like just hate cops. You know what I mean? And people that just hate cops,
their narrative doesn't change.
There's nothing that we can do for them.
There's nothing that you could do or change about your demeanor that would make them be like.
We understand you can't please everybody. So if you don't like the police just because you don't like the police, not because you have a legitimate reason not to like the police, there's nothing I can do for you. Go fuck yourself. Like I don't have anything else to say to you. But if you're willing to be open-minded, I'd like to think I'm open-minded. I know you are. That there's a way to bridge that gap like me and Dan have. You know what I mean? Like the whole point of Officer401 was to create that transparency between law enforcement and the public.
Or
and
a
I
plug,
know that's the same
humanize the
between,
badge.
like you and Officer Daniels.
.com.
So I don't know. It's the closed-minded people. It's just like, and you can tell right away who they are. Right. You can tell within 2 minutes of talking to somebody whether they're going to be perceptive to what you're talking about or not. So
are there certain people like on y'all's force or anything that you're just like, that guy gives cops a bad name, or he's a douchebag? Like, I wish he wasn't a cop because he just makes us look bad.
Yeah. And there's people all the time. How many people have said, well, why didn't you get him fired? You're covering for him because he's your brother in blue. Bitch, I'm not HR. Yeah, I don't have control over whether
I don't hire
he's
and
an
fire people.
Or not.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. And I've known, like, people say, like, you don't call out bad cops. I'm like, yeah, I do. I've actually made a video about it. And then, like, I know cops that have been charged, arrested, imprisoned for doing shit. It's just because it's not on CNN doesn't make it, how can you people like guns? I still shooting a Nerf gun 10 years ago.
Oh man.
Is that what you're laughing at, or is there something
Yeah,
else?
that's what I was laughing at. Sorry, I just thought it was funny, the Nerf gun thing.
Jesus.
But yeah, like you can't, people don't realize that maybe you don't have that ability to get another officer fired because
it's one thing if you see them doing something illegal
actively
or something to like do something about it, but
otherwise
if they're off doing their own thing and it's like I'm not in control of this person. It's like, how come some employee at Bernie Madoff's place didn't stop everyone that ever did anything financial wrong? Like
there's unrealistic expectations that are put in place.
It's like, remember when the who was the most recent? Was it Alton Sterling? That where everyone's like, is it pronounced Alton?
Alton.
I've mispronounced it before.
Alton.
But when that whole thing went down, everyone's like, have this cop fired. All the other cops should be calling this guy out. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It's all political. You can't go against someone and then expect your day to be just as good. Like, it has to be a collective.
It's not like there's a club. We don't decide who gets in. These are cities that have like, oral boards and attorneys and, city managers that make these decisions. This has nothing to do with us.
It's like, we the cops find this guy guilty. No. It's all based on the courts and you as an individual police officer, you can condemn them for their actions, but you know what happens if they come out to be totally fine and everything's like, yeah, he was justified, then you look like the assholes. Yeah. And then your job is now at risk because the other people in your precinct are going to be like, I don't know about this guy.
And on the same hand, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that cops did very much used to cover for other cops. I'm not ignoring that fact.
Dude,
there's always been
the
corruption.
70s,
there's always
80s.
The 70s.
Dude,
NYPD
on every dead body.
It was
serious corruption in the 80s.
I've done reports on this actually in college. I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but I must have done maybe 15 term papers on the NYPD and during the 60s to the 80s. and it was just a muck. It was totally
that whole
fucked,
city
but-
was just a shithole.
Yeah, you want to talk about? That's the reason why NWA exists, like because of those cops that happened, like
Right.
And that's 100% why cops get a bad name is because of past experiences with those cops. I mean, there's a high turnover rate in the NYPD because of that, and they went through and they cleared the whole system. But
Well, and that's what like me and Mike are trying to change things like that, because you still, and I'm sure Mike can vouch for this too, there are still officers in these departments that are 60, 70 years old that still have that same mindset. Some don't. I'm not saying everybody does, but they still have that old school mindset. We just had somebody a few years ago that retired from the
social
city.
conditioning is the word that I believe you used. Social conditioning.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's a very powerful term. I agree.
And he retired, or he started with the department 15 years before I was even born. You know what I mean? So he had been a cop for a long time. And I asked him one time, I said, what's the biggest difference between the way you police now and the way it was back then? He said, well, if a motherfucker talked back to you back then, you slap them upside the head with a flashlight and they'll shut the fuck up. I promise you. I'm like, really?
That's a little
so
against
you
the,
hit somebody in the head with a metal object because they talked back. Okay.
Yeah,
But see,
First
that
Amendment
kind of
doesn't
stuff
apply.
is the reason why there are these what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, because people are still being brought up by the people who were affected back then. You know,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
think about mom and dads, especially. It was really bad. I hate to say it, but for black families back then,
Yeah.
it was super racial profiling, and because you know, early 1900s there was still tons of prejudice, tons of racism, and then as you got into the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s, the police were still very hardcore racial profiling.
You're gonna have a ton of cops in
Yeah.
the '80s that are left over from like the '60s, especially in Detroit with the riots.
Yeah.
like you're gonna have a lot of guys still left over that
And those
still are
guys-
impacted by that period of time.
100%. And those guys are now parents today raising children. They're saying,
Right.
don't interact with cops because you know what they'll do? They'll beat you for your color of your skin.
Right.
And that does fuck things up because I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I think it does exist on a much smaller scale than what it used to exist on.
Yeah, I think it's on a more individualistic scale.
Yeah, because the people who were racist back then are now parents today too, and they're
Right.
like, yeah, don't trust black people because they're black.
Right.
And then you still have the don't trust cops because they'll beat you for being black. So it's like this. It's like these two sides that are they're slowly converging to make a better America, and it's one of those things you kind of have to wait out.
But they're
It's
still
like-
divided.
Yeah,
There's
of
still
course.
so much divided.
Of course.
But everything's kept so much behind closed doors.
Yeah.
The things I've heard other white officers say, you know what I mean, just in general, and this a lot of this comes from people in the South. People that are former military and stuff like that, you don't hear a lot of this because they've been exposed to other cultures, and I think a lot of that has to do with education and experience. If you've lived in other places in the United States and you've been exposed to those different cultures, you understand things for the way they are. But when you have been raised in one city your entire life, you have a very closed mindset. And some of the things people say, it's like, holy shit, did he just say that? And the other person's like, yeah, what's the big deal? It's like, why? Why would he say that? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with location, with education, with your experience with other cultures and groups.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just the social media perception. It's all like it's not even real. Like most people are under the assumption that cops are despised by most people. It's like not really actually true. I find that 99 out of 100 people I come in contact with have no real legitimate problem with the police, and they're nice people. And
But they were
the cops,
raised to
the
say,
cops nice.
"Fuck
yeah,
the police."
There's sort of like this perception problem that we have, but that's what we got to fight, because the real deal is that most cops are cool and most people are cool. There's really not a huge problem between normal cops and normal people.
But okay, what you just said, you brought up a really good point. Most cops are cool and most people are cool. So
It's a small
it's
1%.
that small percentage, and think about it, us as officers, most of the people that we deal with are shitheads.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same repetitive people
Day in and
on
day
and
out.
on. And,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So over time, you have to train yourself that not everybody's like that.
Yes.
You start getting this assumption that all of society is like that. And I think the more you mature in this job, the more you realize not everybody's like that. In fact, most people aren't like that. Most people are down to earth. Most people are law enforcement supporters. Nobody likes getting stopped by the police. Even I get nervous.
What's
10
the-
years into this, I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
nervous.
yeah,
getting
100%.
stopped
It is
by
funny.
cops.
Like, if those lights come on, you still kind of get that
I'm still
weird
like,
thing in the pit
oh,
of your
shit,
stomach.
we're like,
Yeah.
what
There's always been that weird narrative that when I'm around a cop, like on the street, let's say there's a police officer on the street, I feel less safe driving. I don't want to say less safe, but I feel more flustered than I would if there wasn't a cop. Like if I'm just cruising, whatever, doing 8 over, whatever, breaking the law, fuck the police,
just 8.
And
FTP.
But
FTP.
then I see a
File
cop, and
transfer.
then all of a sudden it's like I think everybody, no matter who they are, where they're at, I think even the president himself would probably see a cop on their own and go, "Oh, there's a cop." And then he'd have that realization, like, oh, I'm the fucking president. But like, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are, because every time you see a cop, you're like, am I doing the wrong? Am I speeding? Am I going fast? Is my blinkers out? I think everyone has that quick, and I've always regretted that feeling that like I don't feel as safe when I see a cop on the street than when I don't see a cop. But who's the first person you call when someone robs your shit?
Yeah.
Cop.
Yeah.
Who's the first person you call when someone beats your ass? Well, depends if you're a bitch or not. A cop. Yeah. Like it's a weird double standard.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really
I
is.
feel like that as bikers, there's always been like a weird split between the two, between
Well, I don't
bikers
think-
and cops.
I don't think it's-
specifically.
Okay, specific, yeah, but I don't think it's limited to bikers, because what I was going to say is
No,
kind
no,
of
of
like we
course
get
not.
that initial like
Bikers versus the fucking world,
as
man.
time goes on, like everybody's shitheads, and like you get this very thick outer skin. I think because of social media, it's also been kind of flip flopped where people are only seeing the negative shit that we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So on the opposite side, they've kind of developed that
It's
thick
human
skin.
nature, right? So you tend so we see the shittiest of people in the shittiest of circumstances day in and day out. And unless we purposely
I got a flashlight
step
stuck in my
away
ass.
and look at the rest of life, it's real easy to think this is all there is.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so like, I don't know what they're laughing at, but
I got a flashlight stuck in my ass.
right now,
Right now is a
it
terrible
mics?
time.
yeah, I was wondering where that went from my backpack.
Too many mics are lemonades.
I
call
actually do
me
have a
Tish.
flashlight in my backpack, so if it's gone, I'm going to be really. I don't want it back.
You can have that one.
Yeah, that's yours.
Just pick the corn off.
The same thing could happen, I think, in the biker community or whatever else. Like
Any community.
we're talking about like the tribalism, right? Like this, only what I see and who I hang around. That's right. That's who's right. That's what I stand by. And it's the same thing. Cops can get that mentality for sure. Like we're always right. You don't understand, so you could never understand what I go through. And that might be true on some level, but that's true of everybody. Like if you haven't dived off a diving board,
You don't
you
know
know
me.
exactly what it is.
You
But,
don't know
you
me.
know, same thing.
My upbringing. You don't know what it's like to be a
You don't
biker.
know me.
It's like, and that's the same thing with bikers. We could sit here and say all day, like, people don't see us. Pure and simple.
No, all day long.
Finn and I know exactly what that means to not be seen. You're on a small motorcycle. You're in people's blind spots all the time, no matter where you're at. It's like, you don't know what I go through. The amount of people that try to run me over daily.
My buddy on the CBR on the way home from the meet.
Yeah. of
Seriously,
course.
was like
After,
pushed
by
off
the way, we
highway.
did 180 miles an hour in the middle of the night. Just going to throw that out there.
He hit 120. The guy on the CBR. I was pretty impressed because it was his
What?
first ride
So
on a leader
second
bike.
gear.
Well, yeah. And I thought we blew past him, and I was pretty impressed to find out he hit 120. And I was like, I don't know what I hit because I don't watch the speedometer when I'm flying
No,
like
I
that.
don't
But
either.
I
I
was
go
like,
like
I'm kind of
Why?
curious.
Why not?
I don't watch
Just
the
because you're
speedometer.
trying to pay attention to
Watching
the road?
the road, yeah.
Yeah.
People coming out. I mean,
Dude, that's why
Because
Porsche
you're
have the-
wondering if you're going to wake up
the
in
fucking
1957 or something like that because you
Seriously.
went over 88 miles an hour.
Oh, a Back to the Future reference. My favorite movie. Have you seen the poster that's behind? You haven't seen the poster.
No, I only see the Hangover
oh,
poster.
I,
Hold
I
on, you
love
haven't
that.
seen
But
this.
that's a good stuff.
You haven't seen this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's
you gotta keep talking.
Back to the Future is one of those movies like on cable where it doesn't. I could be going to like an important meeting or something like that in my life, or a wedding, and then if it's on, whatever was scheduled is off. I have to watch Back to the Future,
That's so cool.
and it's gonna be like Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3.
That's
Oh,
badass.
that is
The realisticness
epic, dude.
to it
That
is
is a
just
cool
awesome.
That is epic.
This is actually.
I've never seen that poster.
Stolen art.
This is stolen art. I actually
Report him to the police.
I actually ended up talking to the creator of this.
Wow, that is
So
sweet.
he's cool with it.
He
Yeah, break that.
Don't break
Yeah,
it.
No big deal.
too much alcohol. Sorry. But he ended up-
Speaking of, I brought a breathalyzer if anybody wants to have fun
Did
with
you
that.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering the legitimacy towards that one.
Let's talk
I
compared to
don't.
what
I don't
we
know
all
if
have.
it's.
I have to drive
All right,
home
all
later,
right.
so
I
So,
have
quick
no
question
idea.
while we're
Crash
here.
first.
So, what's the best way out of a DUI?
Don't
the
drink
best
and
way
drive.
out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, if you're
don't
drunk
put
and
your
you-
Should we tell them like
Uber.
Should we give them the secrets?
What's
The
what are
top
the
secret.
secrets? What type
You
of
have that. That's the
$100
title of
bill.
your video, right? You
What's-
have something about the secret info about DUIs. Like,
Yeah,
what-
but I
what,
didn't give
what
away
type of
all my-
clickbait? What type of clickbait can we pull out of this?
The best advice I ever got from somebody was never show anybody all of your cards.
Yeah, there you go.
Should I lay all of them out on the table today?
I mean,
you
I'm going to
go.
tell you so I can get out of it tomorrow, but I mean,
I just
or
heard.
today.
I heard
Or
don't
today
blow,
right
go
now.
to jail, and
I don't have to.
work
This is
with
my
it.
house. I don't have to leave.
But see, we
Fuck
have
you
to be
guys.
careful about that because people can misconstrue that as legal advice.
The
Yeah.
cop
You
told
know
me
what I
I
mean?
could get off.
If we put a disclaimer saying like,
Yeah, let's
I
put a
could-
disclaimer.
These are
I
not
could-
lawyers.
I
They are
could
not
tell you the
telling you
realities
you're okay.
as I see them or as I understand them.
Honestly, go first with Michigan. I want to know about Michigan first.
So most of the time in Michigan, your first it's called OWI, operating while intoxicated. So in Michigan, even if the key is in that ignition and it's powered at all, you could be asleep in the car, and if it's
Engine off?
if
It's the
that
same here.
if that engine
No.
is off, if
I don't know about
if it's operating at all, now if you're sleeping
Like
in the back
radio
seat,
on,
it's different.
accessories on,
But if
but-
you're in the driver's seat, if you have accessibility to drive that vehicle and the key is there, if there's any power to the vehicle at all, that's operating while intoxicated.
it's the same way in
sucks.
Georgia.
Yeah,
Same way
Yeah,
in
so
Georgia.
it used to be driving. You had to actually be, driving the vehicle somewhere to count.
You'd be
But,
parked in a driveway.
right.
here.
People are falling asleep in McDonald's, drive-throughs,
Oh, that's
and
that's fucked. That's
the-
kind of fucked. I think that you have to be driving to be a DUI, but you
Yeah.
just, you
So
just
that's
say
why they changed the
OUI,
law.
Right?
It's
OUI.
OWI. So
God,
operating
I'm
while
sending the
intoxicated.
cops after you.
So
Tweeted.
we
like, I
have
didn't go
OWI 1, 2, and 3. So you have
levels.
Wow.
your first offense, then you have your second offense, which is or it can be enhanced if you had so many OWI 1s over a certain period of time, and then the third is a felony. So if you get caught 3 times, or if there's certain circumstances, it could be a felony OWI. So then we have what's called super drunk. So if you blow over a .17, then it's an enhancement to the charge. So it's like extra fines, .17. It's
Damn.
super drunk.
Yeah.
So that's what's
Super drunk.
The highest I've ever done.
I would love to have a ticket that says super drunk DUI.
Dude, the highest. What's the highest BAC you've ever seen?
The highest. Well, see here they
Extra tips because I'm
Oh, yeah, is
tip.
it?
I'm just gonna just wipe it off. All right, we're gonna play a game real quick.
I have no
called
idea how
the
the
lowest.
accuracy
The
is.
lowest blow has to chug.
Officer,
So-
I'm going to decline this test respectfully.
Well, then you're going to jail, son.
Well, because I guess we can talk about it. I just
How
recently
do you do this?
got a
How do you do
DUI.
I wasn't gonna talk about it, but
I
sure.
don't really care.
Pull it up. He wrote here.
First off, they pull me out, make me do the monkey dance, and touch your nose. And I have it in writing that I got all of that 100%. Like I didn't fail anything.
Really?
I then blew because I thought I was
Well,
good.
let's,
This
if you
was
don't
the
mind,
next
let's
morning.
break it down.
Yeah,
Let's talk
I
about
have
What's
a
the first test they had you do?
I have a ton of stuff
They-
to say about this. So
Well,
yes.
Okay, so we'll explain the whole thing.
Flow.
You weren't blowing good enough.
All right.
But
That's a first.
Oh boy.
So
That's a good thing to me. Like I feel like that's okay.
I was drinking
I'd
at
be
my
proud.
mother's house, and I was gonna ride home that night. I'm really too drunk to drive because I was an idiot, and everyone talked me out of it. So I spent the night at my mom's house and woke up the next morning. Spoke to my mom, spoke to my aunt. Everyone thought I was good to go, so I went to drive home. I got a super speeder on the way home, and. Yeah, and then so I get pulled over. Guy says I smell like liquor because I was wearing the same clothes as the night before. And I thought I was so good. I mean, I literally did not think I was drunk. If I thought I was drunk, I would never have drove. And so... Stop.
I don't know how to do it. I've never had to blow before.
Sir, let me walk you
Fucking
through this.
felon.
But it's not a felony, guys.
I'm over here
But
like
so they pull me over. I smell like liquor. And
it's
everyone,
a breathalyzer.
Everyone tells me to, or not everyone, but the cop asked me to step out of the vehicle because I smell like alcohol. He makes me, walk the steps, touch my nose, all that stuff. I did it perfectly. I was shocked. I mean, even sober, I would not think I could do this. And so
'Cause
then he
you're
asked me to
retarded.
blow. I blew. He wouldn't give me the numbers on the breathalyzer. Then placed me under arrest for DUI and asked me if I would give a blood sample. I refused, and so they took me, got a warrant for it, took my blood. It ended up being .15, and so huge shocker. I mean, I would never have drove if I knew I was drunk, and yeah, it turned out to be one of the worst days of my freaking life, and yeah, it was just a whole bunch of crap, and I literally have in writing that I didn't fail a single one of the what do they call it, coordination
Field sobriety test.
so I didn't fail
sobriety
any
test.
of that. I did apparently fail the breathalyzer, which he wouldn't show me the number for, and turned into this whole situation. And it was very unfortunate.
Well, the first thing about that is when they're giving you, there's 2 kinds of breath tests. There's the Alka-Sensor, and then there's the Intoxilizer. There's either the Intoxilizer 5000, which is the older model, and then there's the 9000, which is the newer model.
It sounds so fake too.
The Intoxilizer 5000.
There's a dude out in Texas who has he's like refuse the test, and then he's like it's like a midget pops out of the Intoxilizer 5000. It's hilarious. But
Also, this won't work too good. You're supposed to wait 30 minutes in between each drink before you use it.
Well, I don't know how to use it. If you show me how to use it.
Yeah, I don't trust that thing.
Yeah.
So as it counts down,
Our
two, I
PBTs
breathe
are
in.
calibrated
At
like
0, you breathe
regularly.
out.
Are they?
Yeah. I wouldn't think that that's accurate at all.
So basically, guys, the way it
keep
works,
going.
this Alka sensor, it's only used to show whether somebody tests positive or negative for alcohol. The numbers that are shown on there are not admissible in court, which is why we don't show people those numbers. So the final results of the Intoxilizer, which is the huge machine, I don't know about Michigan, but in Georgia, we have to take 2 measurements, and we have to take the lowest one of those 2 measurements and use that for court
0.14.
purposes.
0.15.
Winner!
Hell yeah!
Already?
That's what I got.
How?
I'm awesome.
I
That's
think
how.
it's because
Wow.
he just took a drink.
I literally just took a sip.
Oh, okay.
Because
There's
not
also,
a-
by the
it'll
way,
be a hot blow, yeah.
By
Yeah.
the way, there's gum that'll make you fail this.
Yeah.
That I learned
Gum,
about that from the
mouthwash.
After
Yeah,
Prison
if
show.
you-
by the way.
That's a hot blow. So if you like put Listerine in your mouth and swish it around and then blow, you could be like a 0.04 and you had no drinks. you know?
Yeah. There's gum and then there's like Listerine and stuff. It's like dependent.
That's why.
Yeah, don't ever
I don't want to
chew
stop
gum,
what
like,
you're
there's
doing.
no-
Say what you're doing because like don't. But there's a couple of things about PBTs that you should know. People can know that I can tell them. But
Yeah, take a
I
break.
was pretty
This,
much done. I was just saying that the numbers that are on the Alka sensor, the handheld thing, are not admissible in
That's why
court.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't
All
check
it does is to test positive or negative for alcohol.
Yeah.
That's it.
So real
That's
quick,
what
I
he
want to
told
take a break real quick and say this podcast is brought to you by Huey Visual Sunglasses. 10% off all Huey Visual Sunglasses using the coupon code Do It Dan. Finn's gonna see how much he blows.
do we have sets here? I should wear. I feel like I should wear these sunglasses.
I have so many sunglasses.
I can
dude.
personally say I've worn them when we went on the Do It With Dan cruise. And
Where's the set? Let's put 'em- I
remarkable
wanna put 'em on
pair
right
of
now.
sunglasses. I actually need a pair. Not that I'm too cheap to actually buy them. So Dan, I need a fake wood looking pair.
I can hook you up, dog. What are you gonna blow, dog? Because you're not supposed to be.
I better fucking win.
So there's some myths about PBTs. People think like throw a penny in your mouth.
Yeah.
Point
it
one
won't-
three. Get fucked, nerd.
It won't stop. It won't stop the results of that. The only thing that will make it be inaccurate is you should have like a 15-minute period since your last drink.
Anything
Right.
in your mouth.
and that's
yeah.
why they ask you before you blow. When's the last
drink you had? Like so that they want this
you
to be,
Quentin.
and usually they'll try to make the field sobriety task go by like that 15-minute period before you ever do it. Like he said, it's not admissible in court. The PBT
Right.
is not. It can be used, at least in Michigan, as probable cause for an arrest.
Well, it was
absolutely,
enough
yeah.
to get a warrant for
Yeah.
my blood.
It's enough to get a
It's a
warrant,
pro-
which is
yeah.
probable cause.
Even the PBT isn't enough. Like I
all
couldn't
you have
get
to
it.
prove in a
You-
search
you can
warrant is
replace the
probable
certificate.
cause.
Yeah, exactly. So
No, it's cool. He's cool with AIDS.
the
Space AIDS.
Spades.
the PBT thing is one, like he said. Then we call it the data master, not the Intoxilizer. It says data master.
Seems a little bit more
Sharing a
legitimate.
vape. All right.
The data master
your
and
turn.
What do I got to do?
All right. So you hit
press it.
Start and at 2
Are we
seconds,
really
you
explaining
start
to a cop how to use it?
This is nothing.
I've
like
never
what I
seen
use,
that
and I don't
That's
trust
awesome.
this at all. I
Right,
would
so-
No,
guess
I
this
don't
is
either.
Fairly
Yeah,
complete.
yeah.
Fairly and
gonna
completely
spit my
inaccurate.
gum out.
It was really
blowing.
expensive.
At 2 seconds, just start blowing and then keep blowing until
It'll start
makes
beeping,
noises.
and when it makes the clicking noise, you stop.
I can't believe
So
I got
I'm
a
at
peppermint mocha.
.149. You're at .139. You got to beat us because right now
He's
Finn's
going
the
for
lowest.
records.
All right, blow, 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 blow.
Until it clicks.
He looks like he did on that internet video I saw one time.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yep. And now wait.
Let's see. All right.
Excuse me, Jesus, guys. I am
All
sorry
right,
about
so
that
I'm
one.
.139, so
We're
.14.
at the CBR
He's
again.
.139. So no, I'm sorry. He's .1.
We get it
139.
on vape.
So you're .14. I'm .15.
You're one. Yeah, basically.
Okay. .05. You bitch.
Pussy chug.
It's completely inaccurate.
Yeah. I call bullshit
Go,
on
go.
next time I blow a breathalyzer. All right.
So that's
Then
another
you
thing.
show him-
They're
you show him
calibrated.
401. Wipe it.
They have to be calibrated by someone at the department, and there's a log of them.
Yeah.
So those PBTs, they're regularly calibrated. So is the data master. So there's two different sobriety things. So I regret doing the SFST course because there is a certified course that there's a manual like this thick and it's a 3-day course, and you learn all of these very specific tests. If you want a good lawyer,
Number of viewers.
a good lawyer is going to challenge the test, and they're going to make sure the officer made no mistakes. Because if the officer made any mistake, if he deviated at all from how the certified course is, those tests would be inadmissible.
Right.
So
You'll feel it click.
like there's other things people will make you do, like dexterity. That's not like this. That's not an official test. Touching the nose, like different things, could be an official test. You know, the SFSTs are standardized, and then there's non-standardized stuff.
Still got 2,300 viewers. That's good.
So, that's should you do that or should you not do that? I'll say this: that
0.07. You gotta chug your drink.
Chug.
He's gonna finish it off. I'm gonna fill him up.
That's scary, dude. That's scary.
It's inaccurate.
I got trashed one night at the bar and came out like I could barely walk, and I had the officer, a buddy of mine, he was on heat, come out and gave me the test, and I was
Heat
like,
fucking sucks, by the way.
He was like, "Are you drunk?" And I'm like, "I can barely stand up right now." He turned it around as 0.07. I had to call a taxi for 0.07.
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the legal limit. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's way too low." You know, I'm not even drunk at 0.08.
Oh my goodness.
But no, I mean,
0.07.
you're
I don't trust driving.
I had one night where I stopped at the first department I got hired at, and we had an event for a fallen officer, and I got a ride back to the department, and I did a PBT. My car was there, and I had to wait. I literally had to just wait at the department, and
Until you sober
and
up.
I looked at the results, and I was like, it was like a 0.14, and I was like, holy smokes, man! I'm like, I've arrested people like for in the threes, like 0.32, that kind of like.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
My
like,
highest one is
holy cow!
I think my highest one was 0.44.
That they should be dead.
0.5,
Wow.
0.5 is death. Yeah.
Shit.
I've seen people at
She was
0.6
talking.
with the repeating sign on it, like it can't go any higher.
But I mean,
he's like a
how
local drunk.
accurate- How
0.6?
accurate is a how accurate is a breathalyzer?
Honestly,
Well, the PBTs are fairly accurate. The data master is pretty doggone accurate,
Right.
but blood is the most accurate.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Would you? Only
So a lot of
that's
people-
what I mean.
Blood is tricky though because you have to fill the vial all the way up to the top. Otherwise, the alcohol will escape into the oxygen that's in the tube.
So
you have to fill it
here's the
completely.
reality, right? So like, if you refuse everything, then you are taking potential probable cause away, right? If you refused to do any of the tests, any of that, but then you're putting yourself in another bad position.
Let's stop and say this is not legal advice.
This is not legal.
This is
No,
just
no,
two
no.
opinions from
I'm
two
just
different
opinion.
cops.
It's not even an opinion. This is just
Off
straight up
duty
like,
cops. They're not.
Yeah.
they're not
This
working
is
right
It
just
is
now.
not admissible in court.
This
We're
is-
Mexican cops.
yeah.
Well, you're a
Cancun.
Mexican
Well,
cop.
I am Mexican.
That's hence the speeding on the
Officer
closed course.
401.
401.
Two of my family
Oh,
members fighting
man.
Juan on Juan.
Playing basketball, Juan on Juan.
Officer 401.
So there's two different routes you can go, right? You can comply with everything, but if you don't comply, you're with the request for tests or whatever else, or taking the PBT. In Michigan, you are required to take the PBT. It's a ticket if you don't.
Really?
For a commercial driver, you have to, or it's an arrestable offense.
CDL, yeah, CDL
Yes,
is
it's a
completely
misdemeanor.
different. Someone brought that up.
Yeah, it's a
Is that-
misdemeanor for a truck driver, for example, CDL. Then you can go to jail if you refuse to do it.
Yeah.
But just a normal driver, if I said, will you do these coordination tests, and they said, nope. I'm like, all right, we take the breath test. Nope. I can write you a ticket, but I can't arrest you just for that alone.
Wow.
Now,
Really?
that's Michigan.
Yeah, 'cause we get
here's
in trouble.
here's the problem, though.
you get you get in a lot of trouble.
If I
for that.
observed you, for example, like let's say that you cross the double yellow line a couple times, then you go off the side of the road a couple times, then you roll through a stop sign, and I pull you over, and you refuse everything, and all I have to go on is that driving and the odor of alcohol, you're going to jail, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to maybe you were listening to your music and maybe you did have a drink or two,
Well,
and your
that-
your .04, you're legal. And,
Well,
and
not
I
CDL.
Just
I make it
exercising
0.00.
your rights and not.
it's
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, it's different for truck drivers.
Yeah, but I say CDL, you cannot have any alcohol in your. 'cause
Right,
My
yeah.
roommate is he has a CDL in
Yeah, it's
Georgia.
a different ball.
Not in
different
Georgia, bro.
laws.
.02 for truck drivers.
I thought it was.
It's
0.02
.02 for minors in
Point-
Michigan.
0.04 for minors.
Because there are like things that you could eat or
Mouthwash.
consume that would give a little
That
bit.
might be
it's
flip-flops.
.02.
Okay.
One of them is .02. I can't remember if it's truck
I think
drivers or
I think it's
juveniles.
probably truck drivers is truck drivers is .02.
I think it's
One of-
.02. In
because
Michigan, it's .02 for CDL
Truck driver. That's
and
crazy.
.02 for
Jarambe
minors.
was
That's
telling me you
crazy.
can't
If
have any alcohol
If
in
you
your
pull over
system
a
if you get
juvenile
pulled
or
over.
a truck driver, both of them are allowed to have just a little, just take a couple shots. Like it's,
Well,
it's cool.
I had a
Couple
friend
shot-
that had
let's have a couple of
one
shots
of
reads
those monitors
0.02.
on their ankle.
Yeah.
And he
Good
touched
question.
charcoal,
Yeah,
and
none.
it set it off. And
2
he got
shots
it
of,
ended up being a
Listerine.
whole thing.
Yeah.
They took the security cameras from Walmart. I mean, it was a crazy
So,
thing. And
like,
That's
I guess,
that's
do you
elaborate.
it was insane.
do you see what I'm saying there, though? So you're actually making it harder on yourself in a lot of ways by not doing the tests because you're leaving the officer no choice. There's no room,
I mean,
right?
you could
because
be
now
sober.
all I have is
Well, that's-
bad driving and alcohol smell.
totality of the circumstances.
Right.
At
That's
that
the-
point,
you're-
it's up
yeah.
to the officer's discretion at that point, because if you give
It's
the
always
officer-
gonna be up to the
Yeah, like
discretion.
if he's like, all right, let's do a breathalyzer, and you do a breathalyzer, and you blow, let's say what's illegal, 0.08?
0.08.
So if you blow
Same in Michigan.
0.080, right, and then the officer can be like,
Call somebody.
fuck it, dude. Like he can be like, just fucking, where do you live? Get home quick, like.
I would.
Oh,
I
I
was
was
no,
in
no, 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 no.
When I got pulled over,
I would
I was in
never,
my
ever
neighborhood.
do
That's
that.
liability on you.
I would-
I will call somebody.
I would
I'll
tow
tell
your
them to
car.
Call some. No, see, I wouldn't even tow it.
I'd be like-
0.09, unless they like hit somebody or they were
It's
all
like,
over the
if
road.
chill on the
If
side
it's
of the
somewhere
road
where
for
we
like
can
an
pull the
hour?
car off, sure, yeah, absolutely. But if
Yeah.
you're in the middle of the road, like I'm towing your car, call a ride. I'm not charging
I
you
was
like I'm
in
gonna.
my
I would get
neighborhood.
in their
whatever.
car and pull it off to the side of the road or something, and have
Just
them
like-
call somebody.
Just like chill for a little bit
pick
or
'em up.
something like that,
Yeah.
Give them a couple of glasses of water or something.
No, I'd never. You can't be like just don't drive. Like you can't because that if that person pulled away and then God forbid like killed a kid or something like that,
It's on you.
Your
Okay.
career is done. Like
I
you're
figured
probably
that-
going to jail.
I
It's one of
figured
those
that if you were to like
liability-
be super cool about it, because at that point you're basically taking the option away from the officer, saying that you have to go to jail now because you denied the breathalyzer or you denied
Well,
the
yeah, I
blood
mean,
test.
you don't really have an option.
Well,
I mean,
you're just reducing
yes, you
the
may be
options the
not
officer
drunk, but
has.
You could be also.
That's the difference
wasted.
in using some common sense and going by the book.
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day, by the book would be your 0.08 or more, you're going to jail.
Right.
That's the end of it.
Right.
Common sense comes in when it's like, I didn't even know that you were drinking until I came up to the window.
Right, that
You know what
happens.
I mean?
Like where you just pull somebody over because they had a headlight out,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden
exactly.
you smell alcohol. So really, their driving
They're
had
completely coherent.
You had nothing on their
Yeah.
driving. Right.
So is that probable cause? Is just the smell? Because
yeah.
I thought
Oh, yeah,
I thought they
absolutely.
took that away. The probable cause
Not
of
for-
smell of
at
alcohol
least for
and or
weed.
marijuana.
yeah, no,
Weed,
it's
they smell
definitely
it, you're
a part of
in trouble.
probable
They're
cause.
searching
Like
you.
See, for us, the smell of alcohol isn't necessarily probable cause, but it's reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
Most
Sure.
people assume, like, I hate when you stop somebody and they're like, what's your probable cause for stopping me? Well, first of all, bitch, I didn't need probable cause to stop you. All I need is reasonable
Yes.
suspicion.
Right.
Think about a bolo. When a bolo comes out for a red Ford Ranger with a white male driver wearing a red cap, that's not probable cause. That's reasonable suspicion.
Yes,
when
absolutely.
I see that car pulling out, I
Yep.
don't know that's the car, but I have reasonable suspicion to believe that that might be the party that's involved in that crime.
That makes sense
Big
because
difference.
I got pulled over back when I used to live in Fayetteville because they were matching my vehicle matched a description.
Really?
They pulled me over. I had a black Tacoma, and they pulled me over and they said, we're looking for a large black female. And I was like, oh, well, nobody
found
other
her.
than me has driven this thing. They're like, have a good day.
But
But you know,
I had that when I had a Range Rover.
Yeah.
My dad texted me, and then I actually got pulled over that day. It was a bolo on a guy that kidnapped a kid in a white Range Rover, and like even the like identifications for the person, like how tall they were, their skin tone, everything. I was like, dude, I feel guilty just you telling me this.
just
I'm like,
being a
God, where's the
driver of
kid
a
in my
vehicle.
back
Maybe it
of my
is me.
car?
You're like,
maybe
yeah,
I did.
I was
Maybe
like,
I took
shit,
some
dude,
ketamine and took a kid.
I was like, Jesus, dude, I look very guilty. There was a comment I've been seeing from a redneck YouTuber. He asked, can you smoke medical marijuana and be a cop?
In Michigan, no.
That's a good question.
I cannot get a med card. I cannot consume any
It
THC
just solely
products
'cause-
at all.
I'm assuming it would have to be 100% legal, not even just
No.
Because I mean,
medical. It had to be
30 days to be
recreationally.
sober.
There-
They
There's
would
still
they would
gonna
probably
be-
still
There's still gonna
refuse
be,
to let us do
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Really?
There's still
Because-
gonna be, there's still going to be some sort of departmental policy that's put into place, even if it's legalized in Georgia. Because think about it from a liability standpoint. If I smoke a joint on Saturday, I don't go back to work until Tuesday. Even by Sunday, I'm okay. Like you sober
don't
up the
feel
next
the
day, you don't feel
effects,
the
but you're
effects.
technically
but
couple
it's
of
still-
hours,
but it's
really.
still in your system. So if I get into an accident when I get back to
drug
work,
test.
I get drug tested, and they say, "Oh, you have this amount of THC in your system." When it comes to insurance companies,
It's the same
and lawsuits
thing, yeah.
and everything else,
You don't
they
want
can-
three Mason.
Makes
You don't
a
want
lot
your
of sense.
cop
I just
having
didn't
three
know.
Mason
They can
jars
s-
of Crown Royal and,
No,
and
no,
ginger
no.
ale before
I figured
before
it
they
would-
go to work. You don't want them smoking
Cups of piss.
smoking
Yeah.
a joint before they pull you over.
Well,
Right.
no, the thing is, I figured that it would probably be admissible because you have like a certain time frame before you're sober. Like let's say like you smoke weed and like 6 or 8 hours later you're good to go. Same with mushrooms or cocaine, really anything. But
So it's hell of a drug.
So cocaine's 3 days.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Is cocaine only 3 days?
Yeah,
I'm straight. But
depends on how fat you are.
it's a joke.
So it's going to be in my system for like
it'll
5?
It'll stay in your system. Like weed will stay in your system for like 3 or
Up to a month.
like up to
2 or 3
It-
weeks.
Depending on your
honestly,
body
it could
fat
be-
and your
yeah,
water
yeah.
consumption.
Well, I
But
mean,
It's
me-
in hair. It's in
frequency.
hair a lot longer,
Oh,
right?
hair, it's
hair,
years.
it's no matter what, your hair is
Yeah.
always.
I mean, if you
but,
shave,
yeah,
we won't touch on this, but
They're gonna have to pluck it from other regions.
yeah, pull from
they
my
can
pubes.
too.
It's not
That
there
is
either.
something I've heard of. Is
Can you
that
imagine?
But
if
any drug,
there's
is
people
gonna
that'll
show up
shave
in a
their
hair
head.
test, though.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
There's a
absolutely.
lifetime of things that'll show up in your hair, and I've heard of them arm hairs, leg hairs.
I've heard
Yeah, it
the
looks like
average-
you
I've
had
heard-
some apple juice here in 6th grade.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Well,
like wow.
I've heard the average is 2 weeks. So if you smoke a blunt, 2 weeks after that is when it'll show up in your hair because your hair's
shave.
grown out long enough
Nair.
to be able to show that. But the weed thing, a lot of that.
So
depends
don't
on
trust
the-
ball people, is what you're saying.
Yeah, don't ever.
They're
Always,
all liars.
Always drug test bald people.
Oh, liars.
But like weed, it depends on body fat since THC is fat soluble, and on the same time, it depends on the frequency that you smoke.
Yeah, if you
you
smoke it once-
every single day, it'll be in your system for a
I was
month.
gonna clean my room.
But then I got
died.
But
And,
somebody that never smokes, if you hit a blunt or two, like
I mean,
3 or 4 days. and
I've
it'll be
had
gone.
people that smoke all the time, and they have Provo. It calls them, and then they chug a bunch of water, and that's why a bunch of the tests have
Or vinegar.
water.
I've heard vinegar works too. I don't know.
I've
the-
heard
the
everything.
soluble.
I don't
works,
trust.
Yeah.
See,
I
wouldn't-
don't
wouldn't
believe
trust
any of
this.
that
I don't
stuff.
trust any of that.
I went to jail for 30 days
All I know
because
is
I
that-
trusted one of those.
Really?
Drink this and
Yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
fine.
Really?
And,
Like
yeah.
a detox thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all I know
violation
is that at
probation
GNC we
back in
definitely
high
had a
school.
product that would definitely. We had 2 products that were underneath the counter that
They
people
are
had to ask for
so
specifically.
crap. You have to follow them so closely and get
like
so
there was a
lucky.
dude who
it's not even
used
funny.
to come in and he'd drink it like 3 or 4 hours before his drug test. He was on Provo, and he would drink it 3 or 4 hours before it was like a flush.
No,
And
no,
it wouldn't make him pass, but it would make him. It would disguise your pee.
But those tests have
Basically.
gotten so much more
No,
advanced now.
and
then-
not only that, they have someone go in the room with you now to physically look at your dick to make sure you don't have one. If they have fake,
Make sure you
dicks,
don't have a
I'm
fake.
sorry.
dick.
they
I'm
sell
sorry. It's a little cold in
They
here.
sell
They
fake
sell
dicks.
Not-
fake dicks.
not normally
with
like
fake
this.
pee packs that you can literally physically have.
Wizinator.
Yes.
Yep.
The
Yes,
Wizinator
that's
5000.
exactly what they are
Yep.
called. But they have that, and that's why they
Wizinator's
have
one,
someone
I'm
come in
just
the
saying.
room.
Some guy goes, "Hey, is that real?
It's not warm enough.
that doesn't feel like my dick.
Not enough veins.
No,
That's
Yeah,
a
but
hell of a
that's
sombrero on the tip of it.
That's,
Well, you know what's really
it's
weird?
crazy.
Here's another thing. If you ever catch someone with niacin powder, I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
They're
but
cutting
niacin-
cocaine.
Makes
They
your
cut coke
skin
with it.
feel
Yeah,
it's like-
they cut coke with it. We used to have back when I worked in GNC. There was $100 a bottle for
I
this.
love the story of when you got fired.
Yeah. That's a good story. There was $100 a bottle. It was this big. And people
For
would
moving
come in there-
niacin powder.
It was always dudes with long fingernails on their pinky, and you're like,
Really?
you know what, you're fucking buying this. And then they'd be all like, yo, and they had teardrop tattoo and shit, and you'd be like, all right. You know, here you go. Here's $100, and they fucking use it to cut coke because $100 is they can make that stretch to $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000. But niacin powder, it's white, it's undetectable by smell or taste.
And that's what gives you, like, when you take it, like the niacin flush, right? Like the
you
tingly
get,
feeling
like,
of
red
blood
and
rushes to your
tingly.
skin.
So it's like there's really no
Yes.
negative to it. So you just snort niacin powder and you feel the same as you do on coke. Well, not the same.
Not the
But-
same, but it
but
gives you
close
some
enough.
feeling.
Close
This remember that
Not only that,
energy
but it
stuff I was telling you
messes
about?
your nose up.
It's got niacin in it, so there's a flush that happens. Like,
It
so
makes
you
your
feel
skin
like,
burn though.
Yeah.
That-
So
I
if
took
you're
it
ever
one
looking to
time.
cut
Tingly.
coke, use niacin powder. It's at GNC. It's
Jesus,
$100
guys,
a bottle.
do not listen to anything
No,
this guy
I'm
has to
telling
say.
you,
big
this is
bottle.
gonna be good. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
So, like,
here's something y'all brought up.
Cocaine is so cut nowadays too, especially in Brunswick where I used to live, just out of personal experience.
Asking for a friend.
Why did the chat just drop? We just got banned. No.
How many people are in the chat now?
Please turn down.
It's like
Mike's
it's like
mic
2,300
level.
people still
I'm
watching
sorry, Shay.
consistently.
Wait, whose?
Mine.
I don't see any more.
Okay, so
401.
I was
I'm
talking
sorry.
too quietly at the beginning. I
too
got
loud.
a little
Yo,
tips
401.
now, and I'm
It's fine, turn
talking.
up.
Yeah,
But-
but there's still like 2,300 people watching us right now.
Y'all talked
Do I need to
about
step
the
back?
Is that
throwing
good?
No,
the
you're
book
good.
at someone. Is there there's so many laws. There's no way you're gonna remember everything.
No,
Is there an actual book?
Chill.
Do you call into somebody? Like
I
how?
actually do have. Every year they send us to like a legal update. And
I
we
am
get
a
new book.
sovereign citizen.
I'm traveling. I am not driving. I actually have a book. It's updated every year in the state of
so
Michigan.
there is a book.
Yes, and the state police send out to like police emails.
How
like,
big is this
legal
book?
updates? It's like this big,
And I mean,
But the font
like,
is
is it like
point
a
two.
book?
It's a normal book.
So it's not like
.2.
your
Ours is this
pocket.
Yeah, no, it's like
Provo.
it's. I mean, it
They
doesn't
send out a-
contain.
There's so many laws. I mean, it's
everything.
just like it seems so hard to like. There's no way you're gonna remember everything. So I always figured
you'd
there
be
was a way.
surprised
You're not
how
gonna
much you remember.
like, off the wall stuff, like don't pet your lizard on Sundays.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But when
But-
it comes to like the basics of like aggravated assault, simple assault,
gonna run
into
aggravated
that.
battery,
Yeah,
Easy.
the
It's
shoplifting
easy to remember.
stuff.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever
You have a
else.
black guy,
Now,
call the cop.
Do I remember?
deal with-
do I remember the? Do I remember the code sections? No. So what I'll do is I'll
But you
type
know
on
it's
Google,
illegal.
I'll
Like-
type on Google. I'll be like, "What's the code section for aggravated assault
Cops Don't Know the Law,
OCGA,
2017.
which
Yeah.
is Georgia law?"
Right.
Yep.
And right there, I'll spit out the 16
Yeah, we have
code.
MCL codes, so you just look it up, and there's a lot of times where I'm in a situation where I'm like,
I know that.
what's
Okay.
what can I charge this person with? And I look it up in the book,
don't
and
know
I'm
if we
like,
wanna
okay,
talk
this
about
is.
that.
Yeah, we
I'm
will.
looking at the criteria for
Yeah.
the crime, like because there's 3 different levels of whatever. Like there's this crime
Financial
level
frauds.
1, level 2, level 3, and I'm
Yeah.
like looking in the book, literally like in my patrol car, like okay, I'm charging him with number 2, like
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
number
Right.
2.
You've
Who
got
do
a
you work
10,
for?
1072. Now, my buddy Giant Ham, he's actually a close friend of mine.
I actually
What
got
up,
to meet
Giant
him. I was
Ham?
pretty
He's
pretty
cool
glad
as
to
fuck.
meet him. Cool guy.
He says, "Is it
Sounds
true that
delicious.
cops touch the taillights to put their fingerprints on the vehicle?"
That's
so
old school.
That's
I've watched
old
cops
school.
pull their gloves off to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
is that a thing that you guys still do?
Yeah, that's kind of one of those hush hush things that we didn't really talk about a lot before.
But
now
now,
it's-
I'll
with the
kind of
internet
put it on the
stuff.
table. Like, if I'm doing a traffic stop, most people know about that now. That's just that the criminals
Yeah.
know about this stuff already. That's why I don't mind
It-
talking about it so much.
Yeah.
Because law-abiding people are the ones that are asking these questions.
This is the days
Giant
before
Ham's
body
a good guy.
cam or
Yeah, no,
before
he's a really
dash
cool dude.
cams, right? This is like old school. That's why I'm saying it's old
and no.
school.
Yes, it ties into that, but
Like
at the same
Eddie
time,
Murphy,
It's not just me.
Rush
leaving
Hour 1. Like,
like yeah, 1997
You hungry? You want mushu?
when Dan was born. So
gefilte fish.
Not
The fuck is gefilte fish?
But a lot of times now, like whenever I do a traffic stop, if I touch the back of a car, which I try to,
I got a
it's
tail
going to be
on
in a
your
very
ass.
like non-obscured area.
It's
Yeah.
so quick and it's very
I'm
like
not
I
gonna
mean
touch
if I
the
hadn't
taillight,
heard
though.
of
I'm gonna
it
touch
before,
like under the bumper. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna touch a
when
weird
you walk
area
through the door, you just
Somewhere they
casually
don't
to
rub
leave
your,
my DNA.
You wrap. You.
I mean,
casually-
I'm not even so much worried
DNA
about
or
a fingerprint.
fingerprint.
I'm not worried about a fingerprint.
The only
I'm
thing
more
I
worried
learned about
DNA.
touching the back end of the car was
There.
also to feel for movement in the vehicle as well. Like if there was like
Shuffling?
something or someone in the trunk versus or like feeling the vehicle is someone in
That's some
someone else
Jedi
inside,
stuff.
you know, whatever else.
Now,
but
They taught us to push down on the trunk in case somebody's inside. I was like, "Bitch, there's a latch. Like, just pull a latch." It's a little yellow.
It glows
one.
in the dark.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah,
And
a
now-
little midget will pop out.
Now
a
here's
trunk
the-
monkey.
so it's like this.
Dan cuts all of those
Yes.
off.
Yeah, I cut all those off. By the way, here's a fucked up way that I've gotten out of tickets so many times is that one thing that I've noticed about cops, and not to offend you guys, but you guys love muscle cars. There's something about a cop that loves power, that loves a V8, that loves stuff like that. Back when I had my Camaro, what I would always do is I would wait till the officer stepped out of the car before I would turn my car off, so they would hear my engine. And you know what? Do you remember my old Camaro?
Oh,
The
yeah.
one that was cammed
Oh, yeah.
out. It would.
Well, I
Oh,
filmed with
great
the drone.
car,
That's right,
man.
that's right.
Oh man.
You remember the sound that thing made
Oh,
when
yeah.
you would
Dude, that was
so what I would do
badass.
is I'd wait for a cop to before he stepped out of the car. I would wait for him to step out of the car or her, not gender specific. Wait for them to step out of the vehicle.
Don't assume my gender.
Bigot. I would wait for them to step out of the car before I
that's
turned it
sexual.
off so they would hear it. And the first question was, "Man, what you got done to this thing?" And then I would be like, "Oh, well, I got a cam." And then it would completely distract them from the fact that, I was doing 120. And then they would be like, "All right, man, well, just slow it down. I like what you got done in the car." I don't know.
GBK vibes.
It doesn't work with Honda
I
Civics.
dare you.
It never works with Honda Civics, but like with a big old V8, like I don't know what it is about cops and muscle cars. They usually love it. Can you guys attest to this? Can you guys say like,
I think that depends more on the individual because I
Probably
would
on the
never
individual
pay.
cop,
I'm
like-
not a car guy. I'm not
I
a
don't
motorcycle guy.
literally
Fucking
when
liar.
I'm
I just
running
drive
like
what I drive.
if I'm assigned for whatever reason to
drives a
I'm
Dodge
not a,
Charger?
why is your
I'm
shit
not
so
a car
loud?
muscle guy.
I'm not a big traffic guy. Like I don't like pull people over for stupid shit. Like that's just not me. But if
Officer
I was
Daniels
like,
does.
yeah, Officer Daniels, he's totally a traffic
That
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
GBK
I use
do
if I'm
it.
using laser,
Ooh, he's
like
snitching.
I just don't care. I just don't care what your car is. Like
Yeah.
if I'm
Whoa.
assigned
Yeah,
to
don't worry
traffic
about
and I'm
the
like,
comment.
okay, I'm gonna like
comment,
pull
maybe
somebody over doing 90 or above on I-75. I'm just putting that laser on every car, and the first one that dings 91, I'm like, no, I'm pulling that car over. I don't care what your car is.
Okay, that's
me.
another good thing. Another rumor. I know a bunch of other people. Do you ever pay attention to car colors?
No,
red
I
cars.
don't.
I had a red
It
Camaro, and I
has
swear
zero. It has zero impact.
That's
on
so
it.
funny because
yeah.
I had a red Camaro as my first car. Never have I ever been pulled over in anything more than that red Camaro. It was insane. Like,
In
it
all
was literally on a
fairness.
weekly basis.
That's funny.
And
It's
now,
never.
I mean,
I can't
on
speak
my
for
bike.
everybody.
Yeah, I
I'm
certainly don't
colorblind.
speak for
Yeah,
every
everyone
cop,
knows
but
it's
I have
wrong.
never pulled someone over.
Well, and
like,
I'm colorblind
because
so
of the
it's
color of
kind
their
a thing
car.
for me. So
Is that how'd you get in the Air
Where's the
Force then?
test? Pull the test up.
Did you
The
cheat?
doctor
'Cause
cheated
that,
for me.
That was one of the reasons why my eye test was one of the reasons I didn't make it into the military.
Really?
It's because I'm a total pussy.
That's
and
the
couldn't
only
do
way
it.
I got into the Air Force
That's why I
or
couldn't.
being a cop.
No,
was
it's
because
funny
the doctor covered
because
for me.
his car was red. Yours red or
Red
orange?
Camaro with huge rims that everyone
Red Camaro
loved.
with
If you watch my
big-ass
comments,
wheels.
The audio levels hurt my
and it was
ears.
loud.
What?
turn your
Turn your
volume,
volume
down.
down, pure and simple.
Yeah.
It's better than it being too quiet and you can't hear me.
But it had big ass wheels on it. It was red. I mean, it was basically
Car
a
racist.
car racist. It was
Car
basically a
racist.
rolling pull me over ticket. Like that's exactly what it said.
Well, and I had
It was
subs
so-
in it. It was ridiculous.
It was
I
the
mean,
most
it was
loud and
tinted out
obnoxious.
so
He had
dark.
14, 12-inch subs in it.
I
but,
I mean,
I think-
you know.
I
this
think
car
any-
literally said "pull me over."
I think any cop would be like. I mean, obviously, it's going to draw more attention. It's
You know
got-
what cops
It's different
look
from the
for
regular
is
car.
a Buick LeSabre with a missing window with like duct tape on it. Like that's gonna draw my attention more
Tag
to it
applied for.
than a freaking like new
Tag
Camaro
applied
that's
for
red.
in January.
I used to tell my
October.
friends, don't even bother putting that on. That literally says I'm not gonna get a tag. And
Tag
When I-
is
when I
good.
loop my
I
bike
is
out-
or IZ.
When I looped my bike out, it had a tag on it that said "tag applied for." It was
Oh,
cardboard.
Jesus. That's
cut
why
out.
you got the ticket.
And then they pulled me
Like
over.
a
They're
sovereign
like,
citizen.
"What do you mean by tag applied for?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. I bought the bike like that." I didn't buy the bike like
Redneck
that. I put
YouTuber,
that on
I believe loud pipes save lives.
100%.
100%. People will hear you coming all day long.
Yeah.
And that's
Is that on a
the-
T-shirt yet?
That's the
Oh yeah,
That should be it.
Yeah, 100%.
Coming soon.
Loud
Nice.
pipes save lives.
I really
copyright.
want to type something.
Now,
as
have
do
you
it
guys
with
ever
me.
pulled over anybody for a sound violation? Is that a thing? Because I've been
Music?
pulled over.
Yes.
I've been pulled over
Pipes,
for sound
no.
violations.
Stay
You've seen that
bumping,
video.
guys.
You know
Yeah.
exactly who the officer that pulled
I've never
me
pulled
for
over somebody for pipes, but yes for music.
Really?
If you're gonna pull into a neighborhood at 12 o'clock at night
That's
and your
different.
bass
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
thump, no, hell no. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like I revved up in like the middle of the afternoon in downtown
no,
Brunswick, and I got pulled over by that guy that
Yeah.
you know who he is, and
That guy.
yeah, and he's like, I pulled you over because first you revved it up so loud, I could hear you from down the street, and then I realized you didn't have a tag, so I pulled you over. I was like, you fucker, you can pull me over no matter what. Fuck you.
Yeah, we have a law in Michigan about starting up a vehicle. So like if you squealed your tires or
Improper
it's
start.
called unsafe start.
Yeah.
So
Unsafe
like
start.
if you like peel out from somewhere or whatever else, or you zip out of a parking lot or something, like you can get pulled over for that.
I've always been curious when you accelerate from 0 to the speed limit, but it was very quickly.
Gross
is
display
that
of power, right? Gross
It
display
could be
power?
it could be covered
It
under improper
Could
start.
be unsafe start,
Yeah.
depending.
I've always been curious because I mean,
If
my
you're-
argument, of course, would be, sir, I didn't break the speed limit.
See,
but
that something like that would be like I'm really stretching for some probable.
You
cause.
really
I need
stretching.
that.
Literally-
At that point,
well, and
you're
that's
just being a
generally
man, right?
Quite
my
literally,
basis of dealing with
There
that.
are
Never
so
stop
many
it.
like little nuances in motor vehicle code that you could justify pulling over anybody for anything.
You
Like,
cannot drive. None of us, even us.
Yes.
we could not drive to Starbucks we went to this morning without not breaking one law.
Yes, it's
at some point.
the- I could
everybody's
pull you
going
over and be like, hey, it looks
you
like
know
your
what?
bumper's
That's
a little low or a
that's
little
a
high.
great point.
And it's like there's
All right,
you get pulled
All
over.
right, so let me break up a point here. So one of the reasons I didn't become a cop, and I think I briefly talked to you guys about this, but when I lived in Brunswick, I was in the process of becoming a cop. I was going through the, I'd done ride-alongs, I had gotten halfway through, about halfway through the training, and through my buddy Cameron, who I probably shouldn't say his last name on stream, but I was getting ready to become a cop because that's what I wanted to do, and I ended up not becoming a cop because I was afraid of that I would be a hypocrite because I enjoyed speeding on my motorcycle and breaking the law, and at the same time it was taking up too much time because of school. So I pulled back and I did not become a cop because I didn't want to become a hypocrite. So what you said is a good point, that you cannot operate a vehicle on a daily basis and not break the law. Does that make you a hypocrite?
It depends on if you're enforcing that law that you yourself are breaking.
Right.
So let's say that
100%.
Not stopping at a stop bar at a stop sign, even if you make
Into
a
the
full
crosswalk,
complete spot,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you make a complete stop, if you cross that bar technically you ran the stop sign.
Now I got pulled over.
I don't
one
stop
time.
people for that.
I got pulled over one time for running a stoplight, or a stop sign, because the car in front of me had gone about 3/4 of the way through that line, that white line. He'd gone through 3/4 of the way through that line, and I was stopped behind the line. And he went ahead, and after stopping 3/4 of the way, took his turn, and then I pulled out after him without stopping, and the cop that pulled me over said that you ran the stop sign. I said, no, sir. I was stopped behind the line. The car before me had run the stop sign, and I was stopped behind the line. He just said, oh, you're right. But he had pulled me over because he thought that I ran the the stop sign, because the car in front of me had run the stop sign technically, because his front wheels were over that line. But I explained to him, I was like, no, the car in front of me is the one that ran the stop sign. I was stopped behind the line. I was stopped almost directly behind the line. And he goes, I guess that makes sense. And he was very reasonable. But I was like, that's fucking ridiculous.
But see, those corrupt cops that we were talking about earlier, the ones that are stretching for that probable cause.
Fucking cops.
I had a partner before, and he since got fired and is somewhere else.
Bastard.
When I used to ride with him, I swear to God, I would be watching the car in front of us, and he would light them up with blue lights, and I'd be like, I didn't see a single thing wrong. They stopped behind the bar, they put their turn signal on, and he would stop them. And your first clue is whenever you ask your partner, hey, what are you stopping them for? And he's like, don't worry about it, mind your business. Well, I am your partner, and I don't feel like going to federal court with you, so what did you stop him for? Because I don't see any probable cause at all. And that's one of those things where it's like you report it to your superiors or whatever, and they're like,
right,
well, he is what he is, and we like having him here because he makes lots of arrests. So I had to break off and get my own car because I didn't have any control over that.
Are you from Grand Rapids?
No, I'm from Detroit. There you go.
Slapfin tased Dan.
Grand Rapids is the Republican part of the state. I'm on the Democrat side.
Yeah. But yeah, I recently just there's a bridge getting onto the highway where I live now, and I had a cop. I know he's a cop because he had his full uniform on, but he was in a Suburban, and it said LS Experts on the back, and so I was like, okay, this guy's obviously got a nice little setup going. Goes under the bridge that I go under every time I red bomb, but I was in a truck. And he pulls up next to me. Yeah, of course I obviously did. But he pulls up next to me and, I mean, hurt my ear. This sounded like your freaking Corvette under the... I mean, it was like, blah! I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hypocrite, you would have totally pulled me over. So, asshole. I mean, is there anything like little, I mean, that y'all maybe... I mean, he stepped out, but maybe that you do that you're like... I would have pulled him over, but
basically, no. I think I agree with him. Like, I don't really enforce. Like, so for me, like, if I'm typical roads, it's going to be like, I don't even know why I picked this. I'm like, Jesus had 12 disciples, so 12 or more over is good enough for me. Like, I don't even know why I think that.
That is a great. But if you told me that when I got pulled over, I'd be like sir, give me that ticket. And write that on there.
Every
please.
cop sort of like has like their own. They have this threshold of like,
okay,
everybody's speeding, right? So like you got to pick and choose like who you're pulling over. So like I was like, all right, if they're doing like more than 12 over, I'll pull them over. But in a neighborhood, like I saw like a 7-year-old girl get hit one time by a car speeding in a neighborhood only by like 10 miles an hour, and I was like, fuck this, man. If you're speeding in a neighborhood where kids play, I don't care who you are. I'm pulling you over if you're speeding. 100%. So like. Even 4 over in a neighborhood, like a residential neighborhood, I'll pull you over. And I won't. I'll only give you a ticket if, like, I'm going to give a warning 9 out of 10 times. Almost every traffic stop I do is a warning because my goal is to keep people safe. My goal isn't to write tickets.
Right.
My goal is to like help you understand why I stopped you. Like, if you don't get that speeding in a residential neighborhood where kids are playing or walking home from school is a problem,
right.
That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. I'm not trying to just write you a ticket to screw your life over, you know? Like, now if you're like, you know, well, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm going to write you a ticket because you're obviously not listening to what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to teach you another way. You know, like I'll write the ticket,
pay your fine, and maybe that'll.
But yeah, my goal is to get you to stop speeding in the neighborhood.
Right.
My goal isn't to write a ticket. So I mean, there's that, and I can honestly say that for me, I do not speed through my neighborhood. I just don't do it, like because I've seen that. I've seen the dangers of it. So I'm like, I'm very aware
carries with
of
you
that.
and-
Do I ever speed? Heck yes, I speed, but
Right.
I
Who
don't
doesn't?
speed. I don't speed over my threshold. I can tell you that 100%.
You're not going 100 down the
it's
highway.
it's like 401 was saying. And I'm being a hypocrite if I'm pulling people over and writing them tickets and arresting them for things that I do. You know, like there's so many things. We all break the law. Every single one of us. Like
100%.
it's unavoidable, right? So it is what it is. But I think we just have to find that consistency and honesty within ourselves, you know, to keep
Right.
our integrity.
So I love touching bases on these myths, these rumors for the cops and stuff. Is there a quote unquote quota you're hitting each time?
Yes, this is a big
question.
rumor.
As far as I know,
I've even
having
been
a
wrong
quota
about this.
is against federal law.
I mean, even
Yes.
like chips, they said you have a certain ticket quota. I mean, like, so I mean, I hate the reference.
Here's the
movies that
difference,
don't.
and I'll put this in short. The difference is if you are a traffic officer and you are bringing in one ticket a month, you're just showing that you're not doing anything.
Right,
Your
you're not
job is to
working.
issue citations. Legally, they can't place a number on that. Like as far as like
Because then
we
you're
need
just
90
pushing
tickets
it.
by the end of the week. They can't do that.
Okay.
Right, because
But when I was in traffic division, because I was in
Can't stand.
traffic for 2 years, my supervisor would be like, "Why didn't you write any citations today?" Be like, "Well, because I didn't see anybody breaking the law." Well,
Is that a good enough excuse?
you were riding around for 8 hours and you didn't see anybody breaking
Everyone
any
breaks
traffic
the law,
laws.
basically,
I was like,
so-
well, yeah, I mean, I saw minor infractions, but nothing I felt warranted a citation. He's like, well, we need you to up your production. I was like, so you're putting a quota on me? He's like, no. Like he was trying to alleviate himself.
Whoa!
with-
Don't even bring that up.
No,
It's a
I'm not-
loophole.
I'm not
is
putting-
kind of
yeah,
what they
exactly.
want you to do.
Exactly.
I think it's understandable that a superior officer wants you to show that you're doing work.
Yeah.
Right? Because like imagine if you worked for, let's say, Dick's Sporting Goods, and then they're like, all right, what did you do today? And you're like, well, I didn't need to do anything today.
I walked around, talked to a
nobody
bunch of
came into
people
my
that didn't sell
department.
anything.
Yeah, nobody came into my department. It's like, you're full of shit. Well, there's been 1,000 people here through today.
Got it on camera.
There's nobody that came through your department. You're like, no. It doesn't matter if you're telling the truth or not. They want to see that you're doing work. So while it's not a quota, they want you to show that you're doing work. So
And that's part of why I had to get out of traffic, because I'm not going to write tickets for bullshit stuff.
you know what I think is better than that? I think community policing. Mr. Humanize the badge over here.
Human bat.
So
Breathalyzer.
quotas are illegal in
Breathalyzer.
Michigan, but we would have like overtime details where there was a goal, right? 8 tickets in 4 hours.
That's a quota, though.
As a goal, right? But
Wordplay.
It really, honestly, like there were times I wrote 4, nobody ever said a word to me. There was times I wrote 10, nobody said a word to me. Like it honestly was pretty much followed in our department. Like it was sort of like, hey, listen, we can't justify like paying overtime unless there's a way to pay for it.
Productivity,
Like,
yeah.
It makes
Here's-
sense. Like,
let me
if
throw
there's
this
no one
out to
breaking
you.
the law, there's
Right.
no reason to put you on the streets overtime.
The deal is this, like I think this is not, maybe this is more common among cops than I think. I think there should be no monetary issue with tickets. I think the money should be taken out of it entirely. I think that it'd be like you get caught speeding, you get points. If you get certain number a point threshold, you just lose your license.
Or
So don't
instead of
drive
that,
like
community
an
service.
asshole.
But
I
what's
think
the
community service
repercussion?
should be in exchange for money.
You lose your license, or like
Community
he's saying, like,
service is a joke, guys. It's personally someone that's
Yeah.
had to gone through it. Like literally, I mean, they give out hours like
You're not wrong. I've had someone forge
It's ridiculous.
40 hours worth of community service for something I didn't do to
I'm
begin
telling the
with.
cops.
Yeah,
If you
go
want to
for it.
hit people where it hurts, hit them in their pocket.
Yeah,
I,
And that's
I,
the
I,
point.
I get
and
that. I get that
as
mentality.
a privileged
I'm not
white
saying
male,
that's right.
I can tell
privileged
you.
white male.
I mean, the I would rather you give me a huge fine. I mean, I hate to
Exactly,
say it. I mean,
100%.
everyone hates
Right,
me
just
for
get
being
it over
daddy's
with.
money, hashtag
Yeah,
whatever.
Now, like
but,
tickets
Hashtag
go to
daddy's
like
money, but it makes sense.
there's another myth, right? That it goes to pay my salary directly. It really doesn't. It
Right.
goes to
I
like
mean, yeah,
the
of
state
course.
courts.
We
It goes
get,
to the
like,
library.
cars,
We
it
get
goes
like
to stuff like that.
0.1%.
Yeah, it's a
of the
really
rest goes to the state.
it's a super low amount that
Yeah.
goes to actually police budgets. It's like
I don't get a new
it's our
toaster for Christmas.
You know, some kids getting a library book.
It's
from,
like if
you know,
I
whatever.
issue 15 tickets this year, I get a raise. It's like that's not how it works.
Definitely not right.
But
well, and
people-
it's
I wish
definitely
I
nice
did.
to
I'd
know
write
that.
everybody.
shit ton of tickets. I'd be
Everyone
like,
getting a
You shouldn't
ticket.
say that
Go-
in Mexico.
Driving
Go
too
back-
fat.
Go back to that 1 mile an hour over thing. We're like, you know, I pulled you over.
because I need a toaster.
because I need that Christmas bonus, dog. Like, let me get that shit.
My wife's
A
like,
couple
"Yeah,
people in
dude."
chat have been saying it seems like things have been getting boring. Besides Tase Dan, is there anything you want me to ask? Anything we need to touch base on that
Yeah,
y'all
'cause
want to hear?
I think Dan was gonna
a
wrap
couple
things
people
up.
have been saying things.
We're getting close to wrapping things up. It's been 2.5 hours. We'd like to end it before 3. 3 hours. Yeah, it's been
Went
2.5
by
hours.
quick.
Someone
Yeah.
said I've been
This is
watching.
like Joe Rogan.
I saw a comment said I've been watching for 3 hours. # liar.
Hashtag liar. But before we start wrapping things up, I'd like everyone to tell their best story involving cops. What is your best either pullover, arrest, other cops? What is your best story as a police officer?
As a cop or
Yeah.
when I got pulled over by the cops?
Doesn't matter. It's like whatever you would prefer to tell.
All right, so
if you had one story to tell.
I'll tell you one story. And hopefully my dad's not watching. I'm not sure if I've ever been honest with him about this.
God.
I got
What's his name?
Dave.
I've seen Dave in
Dave,
the
are you in
comments.
here?
Watch out.
No one
Dave will
contact
watch
Dave.
Dave,
please.
log off.
Let's keep this between us. So I was 16. Went
Down under.
to Taco Bell
Down
back
under.
when you could get tacos for like 39 cents or something, like whatever. It was
I
it was
could
really
dig
cheap.
it.
Back
I
in
could
the
eat
40s.
20
Yeah.
tacos for that.
Yeah.
So I went to my friend's house and they were all smoking weed, and so we smoked weed in this garage, right? This,
Mike the cop smoking weed.
Call the cops.
So
In Mexico.
Here's the deal.
Mexican
At that
cops.
time, like I tried weed. I didn't try weed like physically smoke a joint.
As you can
until-
tell, this is one of his like third or fourth times ever smoking weed because I didn't try weed.
And nobody
No.
grabs it like this.
Listen,
like,
I didn't.
He's like, the third time I
my
saw
favorite time smoking weed. Are you sure it wasn't smoking dicks? Like
No, I didn't smoke weed
dicks.
until I was in college, but in high school. So I go into this garage, but I sit there while they're all smoking weed for like an hour. So I get high anyway, right? I'm like, nah, I'm good, but I'm sitting there inhaling all of this marijuana for an hour. We drive to Taco Bell, of course, stereotypical. And then I end up leaving Taco Bell and driving to my house with like 4 people. So now there's cigarettes in the car, whatever, like we're all 16. Drive in the left-hand turn lane for like
Sounds like
3
a Van
miles.
Wilder movie.
3 miles south from Taco
and
Bell.
then I
toward
parked my
house.
dad's car and put it in reverse.
And I get lit up, and I'm like, shit, So I pull over, and it turns out they're like, the cops had. Looking back at it now, they absolutely had to know that I was stoned out of my mind. They had to know like that. There's 4 people in here that were just in a garage for an hour eating Taco Bell.
Of course they know this because they have cameras on you at all times.
Yeah. Well, no,
But this was
because
the 60s, so it
Well,
was
yeah.
like much more laid
Well,
back.
like and you're paranoid as a teenager. I can remember being the most paranoid kid in the world at 16, high as
Yeah.
fuck. Like they know.
So I give the cop my license,
You shut
and
up.
they're like, is your dad David? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, they knew him somehow, and they're like, and I was literally like a quarter mile from my house, and they're like, get home and don't ever let us pull you over again. I'm like, yes, sir. And I went home, and I was like, I might have never told my dad this story. Like, he may still not know to this day that I got pulled over.
He wasn't was he a cop?
No.
They
So
just
like,
happened-
They just
happened-
knew
I think
him
they
through
knew
life.
him, and
Yeah.
like maybe he knows. Maybe they talk to him later or whatever. But like, yeah, that was like
you
my.
should talk to him about this.
Yeah,
Like,
ask
I want to
him
read.
cops
What's he
story.
gonna do?
We need
Record
some
around
closure.
you? Like
Well, I
And I'm
ended
sure
up having a
everybody
run-in
here,
later
like,
when he
he's
went on
gonna ground
vacation.
him.
I got grounded for doing something, and I stole my dad's car keys, like away from him because they were going out of town, and then I drove around and used his car phone and was like driving around. I got pulled over for no seatbelt and like I had too many kids in the car.
he was a dickhead
Yeah,
as
he
a
was.
kid. He was
Mike
a
the
dick.
Dick.
And I got
Mike
a
the
ticket. I
dickhead.
got a ticket then for no seatbelt and speeding, and I had to show my dad. And I was like, which means he found out that I stole his
the
car
car.
keys and had his car out. It was
Christ,
bad.
man.
It was a bad day.
All right. All right. 401. Your best story as a cop, pulling someone over or being pulled over. Just anything.
That was
police
something I've
related.
seen people touching
was-
on. Is as a cop, is there the extra privileges?
Oh,
being
yeah.
pulled over.
There's no doubt. Was
when
it,
Dan gets pulled over, he pulls out his license and his carry permit. I mean, is there like I pull out my license and my badge?
dude.
Okay,
There's no
that's a
doubt.
very good question.
I got a story
have
about
pulled
that.
over. I've pulled over several cops. The ones that are the biggest assholes that are like entitled, like they expect you just to let them off, are the ones that have their badge hanging out the window. If you have a badge, when I walk up, I'm gonna say, that's pretty, but I need your license.
You should shine it better.
Yeah, I hate that. So if I ever get pulled over, the first thing I do, I probably shouldn't admit this. The first thing I do is I put both my hands out of the window. First of all, you're not a threat.
Yeah.
Right. And my tent is so
I've
dark.
talked to you
I
about
learned that
this.
from you. Is the second I get
How
pulled
not to
over,
get shot by a cop.
I pull my license out and I put it in my
Keep your
hands and I
on
put
the
my
steering
hands on the wheel.
That's 100%.
Show your
And
hands.
I don't want to look like I'm sketchy. I mean,
and
it just says,
Light
hey,
on,
I
hands on
respect the
wheel.
hell out of you, and this is
Right.
my ID, so you know
Well,
I'm
you
not
just
doing anything
Dan
wrong.
just said something light on. The first thing I say is, "Sir, I just want to let you know I have my service weapon with me." So as soon as they get up there, they're like, he's either military or law enforcement.
Yep.
Who do you work for?
Yeah.
I work for such and such police department. Okay, do you have your credentials? Yes, my gun is in the door though. My credentials are in my wallet. So usually by then, like you guys are conversing, like
I mean,
you
there has to
break
be
the
a
ice.
level
Yeah.
of respect and like you
instead of
you
being a
understand.
dick and
I
being
mean,
like, I'm a cop.
most criminals aren't gonna be like, here's my license and then bow.
Here's,
I mean,
here's my
I've,
gun
mo-
permit,
most of them,
officer.
right?
Yeah.
I've actually called.
What
So
criminal
like,
has ever said that?
I feel like there is a professional courtesy that happens, but like
there is.
I was telling you whenever I think they were out of the room, like I
Right.
give a warning 9 out of 10 times to everyone I pull over.
Yeah.
I don't feel a tinge of guilt giving a cop a warning. Now, I have called departments because the reality is if you call my department and get me in trouble at a policy level, it's going to be way worse than a ticket anyway. I could get in trouble that way. I have called sergeants on the desk, like saying like, hey, I'm with Officer so-and-so right now from your department. Is he's active duty? Yeah. He's an asshole and he's speeding. Like, is this something your
Fire
department condones?
Fired.
Like,
So you won't give him
Nope.
a ticket, but he'll get in trouble
No.
when he gets home.
if they're like that guy, like hanging the badge out the
Yeah.
window, like, what do you stop
I'm
me
a
for?
cop.
Like,
What's your
I have my
problem?
badge.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you have your badge, but
Respectable.
You're
I
going
mean,
30 miles an hour
I
speed limit
love
through,
that.
through this
I love to
zone. Like,
hear
what are you
that.
doing? Like,
Yeah,
you're being an
respectful.
idiot.
It's very
you know?
respectful.
So I'm not going to give him a ticket because I think
can
it's
hurt
more.
him much worse.
I think it's
Much
more
worse.
impactful to be like, hey, stop treating me like a dick, or I'm gonna jam you up. You
Right.
know?
Oh,
but
you-
there
you-
is a
you think you're
professional
invincible.
courtesy.
Yeah,
I'd
absolutely.
be lying to say there wasn't.
100%.
If
I
I
have-
stop a cop 9 times out of 10, yeah, absolutely.
I have never
100%.
gotten a ticket as a cop, and I've never given a ticket to a cop. I have arrested cops.
Is that right? No. Morally, ethically, no.
Yeah.
It's not. Just because we're in this profession that we get a
Yeah.
break, but it exists.
We had a guy like run from the police. He's a cop, sheriff deputy.
What?
Gets out of the car like, it's cool, I'm a cop. Total DUI.
I mean, I would do that if I thought it was Border Patrol. but-
Had had 20 people watching.
Juan.
What are we gonna do? Not arrest him?
Officer
No.
401.
Lock him up.
Wow.
But he made that decision, right? We didn't make that decision.
Yeah.
He made that
Yeah,
decision.
you can't control what someone
Yeah.
else does.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
That's true.
Now, back to what you were saying. I think I was on a ride along with my buddy JG, who's GSP. Not to just fucking call him out, but we were middle of the night, bucking 130.
No
And
big deal.
He was in I don't know if it was an undercover. It was a Charger of some sort, but he had lights, and we were like booking 130. And the cop gets up behind us with his lights off, like no lights on or anything like that. And then all of a sudden flashes his lights, turns them on. And my buddy, he flashes his lights on. He flashes his blues and twos or whatever they call them back at him.
Blues and twos.
And then he gets up next to him and he gets on the radio. He's like, you motherfucker! I didn't know that was me. They're both GSP, so they had each other's whatever. But he's like, you motherfucker! I didn't know that was fucking you. You hauling ass. And I was like, man, I kind of want to be a cop.
Guys, I can legitimately tell you, Tase Dan is going to happen. I will put every bit of my power
I
in
am
it.
very interested in making
I
this
can,
reality.
I can tell you that will, for a fact,
Not
be
from my
a future
department.
video.
If-
I don't care what this guy says. I will tase
Christ.
him out of his knowledge if it takes it,
will
but it
fucking
will
kill
I thought he was
happen.
going to say nostrils.
Nostrils.
or gonads.
I will
There
His
are so many
nostrils.
hashtag Tase Dans in the comments, guys. I can promise
It
you.
must- it
I'll
must have
I'll
happened
get hit by
1,000
taser
times.
just
If we can do it as a
personally in
fundraiser,
life.
it'd be awesome.
In life, I've wanted to know what it would feel like, and I can tell you it is coming, guys.
You know how like you like work
it's
out
coming.
really hard.
It's coming.
You have a night where you like work out really hard in the gym and your muscles are sore the next day. That's kind of how it feels like for
It's
the next
coming,
2
guys.
days.
He just compared
Tase Dan
being
and I-
tased to working out.
Well, you know how your muscles
I-
ache after the next day after you like
It's
work
happening.
out really
Tase
hard.
Dan.
Comparing turkey to
Tase Fin,
cyanide.
no.
It's
Guys,
like,
take it easy.
It hurts so bad the next day. You're like, I'm getting sensitive.
When Dan gets tased, he's like, these probes hurt
Oh, my
so
nipples
bad.
are so hard.
Oh yeah, tase me, daddy. Like,
Guys, it will
I don't even
happen.
know if I was running after a suspect and they were like, "Tase me, daddy," I'd be like, "What?"
I'd be like,
well,
no, I'm not
No,
doing
I'm
that.
going back to my car. I'm
it's
out.
like, you have a good day, sir. By the way, if you ever want to get away from a cop, just be like, oh yeah, tase me, daddy. Start
Tase
rubbing
me,
your-
daddy. He will turn around, get in his car, and
Mike and
leave.
Officer 401 would be like, have a
Tase
good
Fin.
day.
I do not like that hashtag,
have a
guys.
good day.
Take it.
Hashtag taseman, guys. Ooh,
If Dan gets tased, I would more than willing.
spit on me, fucking asshole.
Next time you'll have to pay me for it.
Yeah, tase you.
But guys, I
Oh,
can promise
God.
you, if Dan gets tased, I will more than gladly get hit with one. I've always wondered. but it will be happening. I can promise you.
Taser, mace,
you know what
which
we
one's
should do
worse?
is put an alligator clip on his left shoulder and his right shoulder, have them link arms
Hold hands.
so they
Yes.
both get the jolt.
I'm so down. I mean,
Left nipple,
I just
right
I
nipple.
have to know.
And
I,
they
I
just
mean,
like
sucks.
you
I understand. Everyone's
gotta
always
take
told
the
me
probes.
this. No one ever said,
Well,
"Hey,
just put a
tasing's
stick.
getting fun."
You know,
Put a
like
stick in
how
the
you
trigger
get that.
guard so
Have
it
you
just
ever had
stays
like
on,
a
and
really
we'll just
bad
walk
cramp where you
downstairs?
can't move that muscle? It's like your whole body
Oh,
does
shit.
that, and then for like the next day
My
or so,
back does that when
your
I'm
whole
bitch.
body is sore. Like I remember being like, I want to get some fucking muscle from this. Like I felt like I was. I used to get on those tinge units, and afterwards you get off those tinge units, you'd be like, oh man, I'm kind of
Pepper spray, man. No, I do not want
so like
pepper
a couple
spray. I
hours
will
later,
do
you're
a
like,
taser.
man, I don't feel so, a little achy, but it's not bad, you know. That's how it always felt to me.
Your
But
friend is
maced-
annoying. Is that
dude,
me?
Maced
Screw off.
sucks so bad. I would choose
No,
10
I will.
times tased.
I'm not getting maced. I will get tased.
Because you know what happens is that you try to wash it. I remember the first time I got maced, I tried to wash it out with water, and my whole face, it like went down my chest, and dude, my whole chest burned and itched.
That's
Reactivates
exactly
later.
what I've heard.
Nobody told me when I was in the academy and got sprayed that you have to lean forward in the shower. So that
Yeah,
shit
so the
ran
water
all the way
all to your
down.
junk.
down
Oh,
to
yeah.
your
It went to
dick.
my yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
thought I
like
was in
doing a hot
Thailand
wing
pepper
pepper
balls.
balls.
Oh yeah, it's like oh yeah, let me just eat all these hot
like
wings. and then
gonorrhea
go
gone
pee.
bad.
Yeah.
Tristan, I love you too.
Is
Thank
it
you.
Tristan? Oh, it's never mind. I thought it was Tristan
Dan.
Walker.
You guys
All
are
four of
harsh.
you tase each other at the same
Dude, we
time.
all hold hands. We all
Just
link hands.
simultasing.
Dude, people are mean on the internet.
It might.
Why?
It might not
Beat
happen.
Dan's brain in until he
Beat
bleeds
Dan.
to death.
Hashtag beat Dan.
That makes sense.
Hashtag tase yammy noob.
Funny hooker stories.
All right, so
We
you
had
guys
one
have
hooker,
both-
like her wig was always crooked every time we get out with her. Every time we got out with her, it'd be in a different direction.
The funniest ones are when they bring them into booking and they're like, you go to pat him down and then it's not really a woman.
Yeah.
Those are always
Do you have
great.
any loose items?
Oh my God, that has happened?
ma'am, what's this? Is this a firearm? That's my dick.
That's my dick. Oh, that's your penis.
Oh,
Okay.
that's your
That's
penis.
penis.
Okay.
Everyone's seen that video.
Yes. Such a great video.
All right, Finn, do you have any good cop stories that when
I
you got
would
pulled
like
over?
to say this is my good cop story. I mean, every time I get pulled over, it's always been bullshit. I hate the cops, blah, blah, blah. I am pleasantly surprised, and I have had a great time meeting both of y'all, and it is just... It's an eye-opening experience that, hey,
Good. That's
not
what I
all
wanted.
cops are dicks.
That's
not,
what I wanted.
I mean, I know we were doing the cops versus bikers thing, but I mean, it's a great time. I mean, y'all are good guys. I can obviously tell
But
that.
our
and,
being white males has brought us together.
and
but
here's the coolest thing that I could say is
I'm Mexican.
if
Lot of
we
white
weren't
privilege
talking
in this
about y'all
room.
being
I'm
cops the
off-white.
whole time, I would not know. I mean, if y'all didn't say one thing about being cops, y'all are normal guys that I would hang out every single day with and be friends with all the time. I mean, y'all are great guys,
That's awesome,
obviously,
man.
by
Thank
talking
you.
to y'all. And
Bunch of faggots.
I mean,
I can't speak for Mike, but I've enjoyed it.
I mean,
yeah.
this has been a great time for me. And I mean, there's a
Neo-Nazi
lot of
bald
things on the
motherfucker.
cop part of things that have opened my eyes. I mean, next time I talk to a cop,
Fuck
I'm going to
you.
be a lot more respectful. I can
fuck
guarantee it. And I'm be.
I just
mean,
hope that you understand. Like, we're not looking for that respect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
No,
not.
no,
I don't expect people like they call us like people that like cops bootlickers and stuff. I don't want anybody licking my boots. I just want a mutual respect. That's it.
I'm
it's
going to
fair.
view you
I
all
think it's
as
100%
human
fair.
beings and not someone that is. I'm
robot.
writing you a ticket to hit my quota, and I mean we've hit all kinds of things that I've been more than interested in like talking about, and
Hashtag beat Finn.
I mean I hate every one of y'all.
Hashtag Finn is drunk.
Drops for people too. Holy shit.
No, I mean this has been really cool for me. I mean I can guarantee you I've been pulled over by cops and I will be like, oh yes sir, this and that, and the second they walk away I'm like, oh fuck all the cops. I mean It will definitely influence the way I talk to cops from now on. I mean, I respect what y'all do, and I know it's not an easy job. There's a lot of things y'all go through, and I mean, y'all were talking about y'all's horror stories and this and that, and I was just in shock, honestly. I mean, a lot of times you don't think about that kind of stuff.
I think
and
at this point we kind of get surprised, like when
Finn's
you
drunk.
get somebody
Yes.
that's supportive. Like I had this really old black dude come up to me one day and he's like, "There's no way I could do your job. There ain't no way in hell. First motherfucker talk back to me, I hit him upside the
I
head.
mean,
I'd
most
roundhouse kick him. I don't know how I do
I'm
it.
Chuck Norris.
but
I don't know
figure
how
out
I
a
do
way."
but I would do it.
so am I
said,
that
"I-
obviously drunk?
I think we all are.
The,
I
the
know I
entire
am.
stream
I'm
is
pretty
saying
shitty.
Finn is drunk as fuck. Yeah, guys,
Right,
I'm not
Dan?
denying this. There is a breathalyzer to prove it.
Well, there's a hashtag.
I'm very
Great Dan.
drunk.
Hashtag
But
rape
hey,
Dan.
guys,
Well,
next time y'all meet a cop, just think. I mean, it's not
just
as easy as
remember.
you think it is. He's not being a dick just for fun. I mean,
Well, I mean,
it's
I
a
definitely
stressful
think there's
job.
some people
Michael
are.
J. Fox could speak through a microphone easier than Finn.
That's not true.
That's harsh.
And with that, guys, I will talk to y'all later next time. Peace.
That's not
I appreciate all the support.
I think it's really funny. Like I agree that not all cops are just looking to be dicks, and I think a lot of people forget that at the end of the day, they're just doing their job. Like an Auschwitz guard. Like a Nazi concentration camp.
Oh, okay.
Like a
We
fucking.
I need to go
gas
get the taser.
Who gives $200 for?
Yeah, we can get
taser.
taser now.
I'm just kidding.
Great thing? Damn, that's harsh. Get out of here.
I think a lot of people do forget that you
The
guys are
internet.
just clocking in and clocking out.
Y'all
trying
are
to do
real
your job.
guys. I mean,
Yeah, you guys are real people. People forget at the end of the day, you go home to a family, you go home to a kid, you go home to relax and
To
chill
alcohol.
like the same day.
And
y'all
Battlefield
drink the
4.
Crown.
Go home to my
just the same
PS4 and
as
Call
I
of Duty
do.
World War II.
Battlefield 4 was the best Battlefield.
I do get mean on there.
Not
That's where I
not to
express
mention
all my
that
anger.
they
Yes.
probably drink more Crown than I did and hold it better than I did.
Yeah, and then
That
they
is
do their
true.
job
That's
after.
because we're used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's get drunk and then go arrest people for DUIs. I'm a cop.
Fucking
Hashtag
go
double
get 'em.
standards.
I piss moonshine at this
Honorary
point.
cop coming at you.
California has the worst cops. Yes, the entire state has decided to have the worst cops.
Yeah,
We hereby here
collectively-
we're going to have the worst cops.
collectively, California got together and they're like, how can we make everyone's life here a living hell? Right?
Yeah,
no guns.
when you get hired in California as a cop, are you going to be a bad cop? Yes. Perfect. That's
Hired.
who we're looking for.
It's like, yeah, we're about to sign off. So we'll do the closing here. I want to say thank you to Mike the Cop.
Thank you for inviting
Links
us
in the
out here.
description. Officer401. Link in the description. And then my buddy ASpinWithFin.
Never in the description.
He's in the
Tell him
description. You
shut
can
up.
see it
He's
right
in there.
fucking there. You piece of shit.
It says Chase on 2 wheels down there.
We're about to sign
Oh, yeah.
off, and we're going to definitely. I
Get some
really
food,
appreciate,
dude. I'm
yeah,
so
we're
fucking
starving.
hungry.
But I
We're gonna
really
go eat.
appreciate you guys. You came all the way from fucking Michigan. You came all the way from where I'm
Yeah,
not going to
dog.
say, but
Area
somewhere in
51.
Georgia.
My 30-minute drive was too inconvenient.
I rode a motorcycle on it. So
Flat fin. Who wants to give me a good one real quick?
I'm not going to do it. That's
A
police
good one.
brutality.
They're
be
asking
miscon-
for it.
That could be
They're
misconstrued.
asking
I wanna say-
for
What do
it.
you mean a good one?
I want to say
talking
thank you
a
guys,
slap or a squirt?
everybody. Trying to do a closeout here, guys. I want to say thank everybody for tuning in. I think this went really well. It's
Dude,
10
this
out of
is
10.
a lot more fun than I expected.
Yeah, I didn't expect it
Awesome.
to go this smooth. You guys are all YouTube personalities. If you guys don't know, they both have YouTube channels and they're consistent.
401 slap fin. Give me a good one.
Oh, dude,
Give me a good
all right,
one.
We're
You
gonna end.
have to.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna end on a fin slap. We're gonna get up
It
towards the
better
camera.
be good. There better be a good pop right here.
So we're gonna
What?
get towards the camera.
Oh god, not too hard. Don't mark me up. I'm a pretty goer.
police brutality here, guys.
Police brutality.
Come on, stand up towards the camera.
Oh, okay. We got to get up here.
You're slapping him, right?
Yeah, of course.
No,
Perfect.
there is a specific hashtag that says 401 slap fin.
Get towards the camera.
We got to make this happen.
All right, what we're gonna do?
Oh, my pretty beard that is so much better than Dan's.
Yeah, okay, whatever. All right. Give him a good old slap.
Good one. Come on.
He's
Give me
serious
good.
about this.
We're
He's
good
serious.
friends. We're friends now. I need a good one. Don't slap me hard enough that I piss. I got a piece.
Oh man, I'm scared.
Are you serious about this?
Dude, this is
gonna be gnar.
Yeah, come on.
This is gonna be gnar.
All right, you guys ready?
Oh goodness. What's happening right now?
Oh, dude.
Ready?
Dude, he's getting warmed up.
Oh, geez. Like, don't knock me out. Like, I mean,
Oh.
I can pop, but don't knock me out.
Do you want a warning, like a 3, 2, 1 smack?
3, 2, 1.
Oh
Okay, ready?
Oh my god.
You ready?
jeez.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
And with that one, guys, we are so out. It's not even
God,
funny.
I'm sorry, buddy.
All right.
I feel bad already.
Oh
We're
boy.
great friends, man.
All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. This is your boy Do It Dan signing off, and I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We'll be doing more soon, and I'd love to have these guys back on if you guys would show appreciation and check out the channels, and we'll be doing another one. So,
Now they're asking me to jerk me off.
police brutality. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. What a night. All right, and 3, 2, 1.